Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's meeting of Georges River Council. I declare the meeting open at 7 p.m. I would like to start with the acknowledgement of country. I would like to acknowledge the beautiful people of the Eora Nation, who are the traditional custodians of all lands, waters and sky in the Georges River area. I pay my respect to elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples who live, work and meet on these lands. We'll now have the national anthem. If we could all please stand for the national anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. With golden soil and wealth of toil, our home is good by the sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's space, let every state of man's Australia bear. Here's our strength and let us sing Australia bear.
For the opening prayer, which tonight will be led by Pastor Aywan Suleiman from Revival Life Centre. Just push the microphone. That's it.
Thank you for having me. If you feel comfortable, please bow your heads and close your eyes. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight with gratitude for the opportunity to gather, to serve and to lead. Thank you for every person in this room who has chosen to carry responsibility, not for personal gain, but for flourishing of others. Lord, we ask that you would bless them and their families. May their efforts be met with encouragement, strength, and rest. Let your wisdom, clarity, and unity rest upon the meeting. Guide every conversation and every decision. We lift up our community to you. May peace and its foundations and its justice be the fruit. We also pray for the next generation. May they see integrity, compassion, and courage from this place and be inspired to carry the mantle forward. Protect the council and bless this city. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Please be seated. Councillors, there were no apologies tonight and there were no requests to join by audiovisual link. So notice of live streaming of the council meeting. Staff and public are reminded that this meeting is being recorded for minute-taking purposes and also being webcast live on council's website. This recording will be made available on council's website. The order of business is as shown in the agenda. Council's Code of Meeting Practice prohibits the electronic recording of meetings without the express permission of council. Disclosures of interest. There are a number of disclosure of interest that have been submitted. They are up on the screen. I'll ask the staff to just slowly scroll through those. I'm not going to read them all out. They will be recorded in the minutes. Councillors, are there any other disclosures to declare on top of what's already been submitted? Councillor Lang?
Yes, so I have a similar disclosure for CCL 040-25 because my principal place of residence also fall into this social protection area. So I already submitted the form.
I think it's up there on the screen as the last one up there.
Okay.
Correct? Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wang. No other disclosures of interest? No. Okay, we'll move to public participation on items in the agenda. There are 23 speakers registered for tonight's meeting. In lieu of addressing council in person, there have been written submissions provided by 13 registered speakers, and they'll be read by a council staff member. I will remind speakers that the speakers have a 3-minute time limit. The first sound you hear indicates that you have 1 minute remaining, and at the second sound, please conclude your comments. I'll also remind speakers that by registering to speak tonight, you have confirmed you have read and understood Council's Code of Meeting Practice and agreed with the terms to abide by Council's guidelines for speaking at a council meeting. Our first speaker tonight is Dale Witters, speaking in person on MM00925. Congratulations, read the 2025 New South Wales CHSSA Boys AFL Championship at Olds Park. Mr. Witters, if you want to just press the button, that's it.
Thank you. Firstly, I'd like to thank Mayor Borg and Council for the opportunity to come along tonight and say my piece in person. As you may have read from the agenda, at the end of April, Olds Park hosted the 2025 New South Wales Combined High School Sports Association State Championships. We had 10 teams from across New South Wales, from as far away as Burke, far north coast, Albury, Wagga. It was quite a large event, and certainly the Sydney East Sports Association approached St George because of the great facility that we have at Olds Park, so we're very fortunate. I'd like to express my thanks tonight for council support. Firstly to Mayor Borg for coming up on day 3 of the tournament and welcoming all of our officials and guests. That was very well received, thank you. And the work behind the scenes, of course, with these kinds of things, in no particular order. Melinda Gray Schwartz, I dealt with council with the bookings, and she was very helpful in terms of shuffling other stakeholders who might have otherwise been using the park on those days. At very short notice, Georges River Council stepped in with additional waste collection services to help us out, which was very useful in the end. Mr. Stuart Collins, who negotiated a pathway for us. There was a lot of rain, and obviously we were a little bit nervous about the event going ahead, but Stuart was terrific for St George in navigating that path. The ground staff, Chris Hobbs and his team at Olds Park, did a fabulous job. Olds Park is one of the best AFL community facilities in Sydney, and certainly for those 3 days it was mown and it just looked fabulous. It was a real showpiece for the council, and we're really proud to be part of that. Feedback across the board, I think Mayor Borg heard on the day, but the feedback was very, very good, overwhelmingly positive, with a high level of community support from St George and council for the event. And I understand that Sydney East are planning or hoping to use Olds Park once the new facility starts for the State Girls Championships in 2027, so that's very exciting. So the event brought people, money and credit to the Georges River area, and St George Australian Football Club and Sydney AFL look forward to partnering with council in future to bring similar events to our region. So thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Witters. Our next speaker is Annie So. It's a written submission on NM03225, Asia Pacific International Intangible Cultural Heritage Certification. Ms. McKinley, if I can.
Good evening, everyone. I am deeply honoured to receive recognition and certification from the Asia Pacific International Intangible Heritage Organisation for my contributions to culinary heritage. I would like to sincerely thank Deputy Mayor Nancy Liu for her support in bringing this achievement to the Council as a platform to promote local culture and culinary traditions. It means a great deal to have our efforts and dedication acknowledged and shared with a wider community. The story of Canton Noodle House began in the 1970s in Macau, grounded in our family's deep passion for food and culinary craftsmanship. In the early 1980s, my father, a skilled professional in the food industry, led our family in immigrating to Australia, opening a new chapter in our lives. In 1986, my father began his journey in Sydney and opened his first eatery, Canton Cafe, at Dixon House Food Court in Chinatown. In 1990, my husband and I joined the family business, starting the Canton brand of Wonton Noodle House and further promoting the traditional art of wonton and noodle making. Our brand flourished, becoming a beloved culinary landmark at Dixon House Food Court. In 1994, my father, my husband and I established a dedicated restaurant in Hurstville under the name Canton Noodle House, allowing us to share our cherished family recipes with an even wider community. With growing demand and support from loyal patrons, we expanded to Burwood in 2000 and Riverwood in 2015, continuing the legacy of our signature wonton noodles. Over 4 decades, Canton Noodle House has earned the trust of generations of local families and become a treasured part of Sydney's cultural and culinary landscape. Today, many parents who once brought their children to enjoy our wonton noodles are now returning with their grandchildren. This enduring connection is a testament to the role Canton Noodle House plays in family traditions and community memory. We are deeply honoured to uphold this legacy. Canton Noodle House is more than just a meal. It's a heartfelt expression of our family's heritage, craftsmanship and hospitality, served with warmth and love across generations. As we look to the future, we remain committed to our founding mission to share authentic Cantonese flavours and family values with more diners, ensuring that the story of Canton Noodle House continues to flourish on Australian soil. Though we are growing older, our determination to carry on this legacy remains as strong as ever, so that generations to come can continue to experience the warmth, tradition and taste that define who we are. Even as the years pass, our hearts remain rooted in the same dream, to preserve and pass on a legacy of flavour, family and community, one bowl at a time. Thank you and regards, Annie So.
Thank you, Ms. McKinley. Our next speaker is Frankie Shia. It is also a written submission on NM 03225, the same item, Asia Pacific International Intangible Cultural Heritage Certification.
It is a great honour to be here today representing the Asia Pacific Heritage Gourmet Guide Committee, Australia Centre. On behalf of our entire organisation, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to the Georges River Council for your long-standing commitment to the protection of intangible cultural heritage and for your dedication to respecting and promoting multiculturalism in this vibrant and diverse community. We especially want to thank Deputy Mayor Councillor Nancy Liu for her unwavering support of multicultural initiatives in the Georges River area. Councillor Liu's leadership and passion have played a key role in strengthening community cohesion and celebrating cultural diversity. Her efforts have created a positive and inclusive environment where different cultures are not only recognised but actively embraced. We are proud to announce that Ms. Annie So was awarded the prestigious Asia Pacific Heritage Gourmet Chef certification in April 25. This recognition is not only a testament to her outstanding culinary skills, but also to her deep commitment to preserving traditional food heritage. The awards ceremony held at Canton Noodle House, Riverwood, within the Georges River Council area, was a truly memorable occasion that brought together community leaders, cultural representatives and local residents. Annie So's achievement brings great honour not only to herself but also to the Georges River Council. It highlights the cultural richness of this region and enhances its reputation as a hub of culinary heritage and innovation. Her success will inspire more chefs and cultural practitioners in the community to pursue excellence and contribute to the preservation of our shared heritage. Looking ahead, Asia Pacific Heritage Gourmet Guide Committee, Australia Centre is excited about the opportunity to work closely with Georges River Council. Together we can promote traditional culinary arts, support local businesses and enhance the international profile of the region. By investing in cultural heritage, we are not only preserving the past, we are creating new opportunities for economic growth and community development. Thank you once again for your strong leadership, your cultural vision and your continued support.
Thank you, Ms. McKinley. Our next speaker is Heidi Breeze, speaking in person on CCL 03525, item TAC 03225, Edward Street, Carlton, proposed parking restriction. Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you to the members of the Traffic Committee. I recently attended the meeting and thank you for listening to my concerns, and also to Nancy Liu, the chair of that committee. I appreciate that amendments were made in response to my concerns that I raised regarding Edward Street. I'd also like to thank the Mayor, Elise Borg, for the amendment she moved at that committee meeting, and to assess the feasibility of a roundabout at the corner of Colvin Avenue and Edward Street intersections once the council receives updated crash data. I appreciate that the crash data is not present at the moment. It hasn't been updated for a little while to support potentially a roundabout at this location. I personally have started collecting data and photographs and evidence, dates and vehicle information regarding crashes at this intersection, and I will soon be forwarding this collation to the Director, Mr. Andrew Latter. Thank you. Traffic on Edward Street has increased tenfold since the opening of the Aldi, and the recent completion of the residential building opposite the Aldi building. It's not fully complete yet and not fully occupied. So the parking changes proposed will help improve safety around the Aldi site, and I'm pleased that some simple signage changes can also be implemented. So thank you for listening to the residents' concerns, and I appreciate the Traffic Committee moving those recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Breeze. Our next speaker is Adrian Polhill, speaking remotely on CCL 04025, which is the endorsement to submit the biodiversity character and FSPA planning proposal as an independent planning proposal. He's also speaking on CCL 04125, Hurstville Aquatic Leisure Centre and Sans Souci Leisure Centre. Mr. Polhill, we got you there.
Yes, Elise, I'm here. Yeah, yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Please go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
Right. Thank you very much, Elise, and everybody there. Welcome. Good evening. Atlas Flora and Fauna Conservation Society fully supports the Council's plan to submit the biodiversity character and FSPA planning proposal as an independent planning proposal for gateway determination. We understand when this planning proposal passes the gateway determination, it will strengthen the protection of the LGA's terrestrial biodiversity, the unique character of some suburbs, and of course the foreshore scenic protection area. I draw your attention to keywords: foreshore protection, scenic protection area, biodiversity, and unique character. As you are aware, during the last 5 years, many communities, including those in Lugano, Mottdale, Peakhurst and Oatley, overwhelmingly rejected any plans to drastically reduce the area of the FSPA. This was because the FSPA protects green corridors, provides low-density buffer zones around creek lines, emphasises the importance of scenic characteristics, and maintains lot sizes which safeguard our ever-shrinking tree canopy and biodiversity. These same communities are now outraged the New South Wales government has totally ignored their concerns, as evidenced by introducing the low and mid-rise housing policy. In fact, the advent of this draconian one-size-fits-all policy has galvanised opposition across the LGA. Objections to the LMR include lack of protection for the unique character and heritage areas, devastating impact on tree canopy and our natural environment, no commitment to upgrade infrastructure, and bypassing the current well-accepted council planning procedures and therefore preventing community engagement, effectively ignoring local knowledge and planning expertise. This outrage has now surged into a fully blown community campaign to demonstrate to the New South Wales government we are extremely happy at being totally ignored, and the reason that they hold their jobs is to listen and act on behalf of the citizens who they represent, i.e. the taxpayers of New South Wales. To this end, 7 local community organisations have combined their resources to distribute 14,000 flyers to residents in the most severely impacted locales, imploring them to write to the Premier and to the Minister of Planning, voicing their strong displeasure with the imposition of the LMR and its negative impacts on where they have chosen to live and raise their families. This campaign shows the wider community is extremely frustrated and angry, supports the GRC's actions and planning proposal, and urges the GRC to activate as many different avenues as possible to convince the government to accept the GRC's planning proposal. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mr. Kim Wagstaff in person on CCL 04025, endorsement to submit biodiversity character and FSPA planning proposal as an independent planning proposal. Thank you, Mr. Wagstaff. Just put the microphone on. There we go. Thank you.
Adrian, as you know, is a hard act to follow, and I'm speaking on the same topic, so I'll try and be brief. I'm speaking on behalf of Atlas Flora and Fauna again in regard to the endorsement to submit the biodiversity character and FSPA planning proposal as an independent planning proposal. This has been a long discussed saga wherein GRC has been trying to maintain planning control over these protected and long appreciated areas of our LGA in the interests of our local environment and community. So the saga of the chopping and changing of this issue is stated in the report for this motion tonight. So I won't go through all that. Safe to say that it was a combined
planning proposal, then it was an independent planning proposal, then it came back to a combined planning proposal, changed the dates, and all because of the negotiations between the Department of Housing and Infrastructure. And it's finally settled, perhaps, on the independent biodiversity and character and FSPO component of those planning proposals. Subsequent discussions, however, with the DPHI have apparently now revealed the deadline for finalising the planning proposal was very short and would not be extended. So tonight, 26th of May, it is now recommended that a new planning proposal is lodged so that an updated timeframe can be set. In other words, the saga continues. Councillors, you should be aware by now that instead of the government's low and mid-rise housing policy, there is strong support in our community for Council's own additional and diverse housing planning proposal to deliver the housing targets while still preserving existing block sizes and the leafy nature of our suburbs. It protects heritage areas and the FSPA. OFF is collaborating with 6 other local community groups in the LGA to prepare and fund a flyer which is currently being distributed throughout our suburbs. I'll table these shortly. Currently being distributed throughout our suburbs. Support for this approach to achieving the housing targets is growing daily. So, councillors, we urge you to stay the course, proceed down this path as quickly as possible towards maintaining control over the protection of our biodiversity and enhancement of the FSPA by supporting this recommendation tonight, thus ensuring the timely progression of the planning proposal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Weiser. Ms. McKinley will take that to table the flyer. Thank you. Our next speaker is Raj Joshi, in person, speaking on CCL 04425, Council Award Discretionary Funds, Nepalese Community Hurstville Incorporated. Microphone's on, please go ahead.
Honourable Mayor, distinguished committee, members of the Council, and respected councillors. We would like to introduce Nepalese Community Hurstville to represent our community in Hurstville and Georges River Council area. Objective of our incorporation is to work on the social and cultural aspect of our community. We are planning to work closely with council, local government, and other organizations to achieve common goal of multiculturalism and social well-being of our society. We would like to thank Councillor Mr. Bain Wong for submitting application for a grant on our behalf, and he has been always helping hand for our Nepalese community. We'll be funding this grant to introduce our Nepalese culture on a National Paddy Day. This is a special for Nepalese, even more special for farming community. It is a national day for crop plantation, mainly rice back in Nepal. We would be very much grateful to the Georges River Council if it could support our program and approving this grant. With the program as such, we believe we can achieve perfect balance of social harmony within our society. Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you, Mr. Joshi. Our next speaker is William Carroll. It's a written submission on CCL 04525, Shivers Hill Amenities Block.
We have been residents of Lugano for over 35 years and have raised children from a young age in this suburb and wish to support the motion to adopt option A. As children are often the ones who feel the need to go to the toilet when out shopping with parents, we can advise truthfully that this never happened in our case. We always made sure they went to the toilet before leaving home. In other words, the need to go while at the shops never arose. The same situation should apply to adults. That is, think carefully about going to the toilet before you leave home. We are aware that a lot of people have supported the idea of public amenities over a long period of time, but it seems from the report that it is not a majority of people. On that basis alone, we believe Council must support option A. We are very much against the concept of option B or C, as it would have a very unfavourable visual impact on the pavement area outside the shops, and we worry that the ongoing maintenance of such a facility brings with it substantial cost to the community in general.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jordan Taylor. It's another written submission on CCL 04525 Shivers Hill Amenities Block. Thank you, Ms. McKinley.
I am writing to oppose option A. I have worked in Lugano for a little over 15 years running a successful cafe on the shopping strip. I have more people come in off the street using my bathroom than I do my customers using it. I am fed up with the amount of walk-ins that interrupt our service just to use my toilet every day. It's annoying, interruptive and time wasting, directing people who have to walk through our service prep area to get to my bathroom. As I've said, I have more people off the street use our toilet more than my actual customers do. Doesn't that tell you anything? The elderly and parents with babies have nowhere to go. Most shops don't allow people to use their toilet. This is needed. It is wanted. Everyone I have spoken to agree it is needed here. The closest public toilets are too far away. Done right, it's not going to upset people.
Thank you, Ms. McKinley. And the next speaker is Nicholas Christo, also a written submission on CCL 04525 Shivers Hill Amenities Block.
I'm again disappointed at having to provide this submission for something that is needed and a basic human right. Why this reluctance by council to do the right thing and provide the amenities at the Shivers Hill Shopping Village is unacceptable and perplexing, to say the least. Item 4 of the feasibility report states that the General Manager consulted the Lugano Progress Association, local business owners and residents. Why is the LPA involved? They only have 70 members approximately and do not represent nor speak for the 5,873 approximate Lugano residents. This equates to 1.2% of the Lugano population, not even close to representing the majority of the population. Who of the local business owners has the General Manager consulted with? I will answer that question. None. I am in constant contact with all of them and none have been consulted by him or anyone else from council for that matter. We are flabbergasted that the council has the temerity to dismiss the 500+ petition in favour of the amenities as it was not done as an official council process. Council may not simply dismiss the word of the people. This is undemocratic. Our petition is real and would have had many more signatures had I not stopped it so that it could be sent to council. The definition of a petition is a formal written request, typically one signed by many people appealing to authority in respect of a particular cause. We have no confidence in council statistics regarding the support or not of the amenities. These statistics are self-selecting and sample bias. The online process is not a real representation as very few want to or can engage in that way. This is a poor strategy to assess the ratepayers' interest in a particular issue. It simply doesn't reach an acceptable number of people. It does not pass the pub test. Council statistics state that there were 82 engaged participants online. Of these, 52% opposed and 48% supported the provision of the amenities. Also, there is no need to remove any car parking if the amenities are sited appropriately. The nature strip location with a prefabricated structure is the most appropriate and is supported by the business owners. All of the challenges relating to public facilities will be experienced here, but that shouldn't stop this from happening. Riverwood, Mortdale, Oatley, Penshurst all have public amenities. Why doesn't Lugano deserve what is needed? GRC, please do this right thing and provide the much needed amenities.
Thank you, Ms. McKinley. I'm just going to address some of the comments from the speakers made in that speech in regards to the consultation and state that council conducted the community consultation in accordance with council community engagement policy, which is a fair, open and transparent process that enables all members of the community to equally express their views. I'm also advised that the General Manager's delegate, our lead of consultation, spent 15 minutes personally speaking with the speaker. So the inference that they were not consulted is not true. So I just wanted to put that on the record in response. And we'll move on to the next speaker, which is my Chewy, a written submission on NM 03325, Lunar New Year celebrations.
We strongly support the motion's 3 proposed actions, acknowledging the value of existing partnerships, broadening the range of multicultural media outreach, and formally including such opportunities in the communications plan for the 2026 Lunar New Year event. By working together with established multicultural media such as ours, Georges River Council will be able to further its strategic goals in community connection and cultural inclusion, while ensuring that diverse voices and audiences are genuinely reflected in civic celebrations. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I sincerely hope this motion receives the Council's full support.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Keith Tan, in person, speaking on NM 03325 Lunar New Year celebrations. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and all the members of Georges River Council. Australian Chinese Daily is the longest standing independent Chinese media in Australia, 38 years and counting. From this aspect in itself, just wanting to voice out that Lunar New Year is definitely one of the biggest events for us in the communities, and it's really important. And the collaboration between the media as well as the council, of course, is really important, mainly because the greatest feedback, or the most of the feedback that we get, is actually from our readers are, oh, didn't know about it. If only I knew about it earlier, I would have liked to join. So as media in itself, not just are we reporting on post events, our main point as media is to promote. So any events, activities, campaigns as such. So how do we collaborate together? Last year, February, from memory, my readership online was 1.8 million. This year in March is 2.5. And from that aspect itself, I like to see how we can work together, collaborate together, partner together from pre to post in regards to the biggest activity to the Chinese Asian communities in Australia. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tan. Our next speaker is Esmond Cho. It's a written submission on NM 03325 Lunar New Year celebrations.
My name is Esmond Cho, and I represent 2CR Chinese Radio, Australia's leading and longest standing Chinese language radio broadcaster. Thank you for the opportunity to speak in support of the motion to expand multicultural media partnerships for Georges River Council's Lunar New Year celebrations, with a particular focus on outlets serving the Chinese Australian community. 2CR Chinese Radio has proudly served the Chinese community in Sydney and across Australia since 1994, delivering news, entertainment and community information in Cantonese and Mandarin through both traditional and digital channels. Our station produces over 60 self-produced programs each week, building a trusted connection with generations of Chinese Australians, including many residents of the Georges River area. Beyond our regular digital and narrowcast radio services, 2CR runs a special FM broadcast period each year during Lunar New Year. This initiative is dedicated to celebrating and promoting Chinese culture, offering enhanced reach across Sydney and making festive content accessible to a wider audience. During this time, we broadcast cultural programming, live event coverage and special interviews that showcase the vibrancy and diversity of the community. 2CR also engages directly with the local community through event partnerships and dedicated news coverage. Our platform supports local businesses and community groups by amplifying their stories and activities, particularly in multicultural centres such as Hurstville, Kogarah and surrounding suburbs. As a station embedded in the heart of the Chinese Australian community, we believe 2CR is uniquely placed to act as a valuable media partner for the Council's Lunar New Year celebrations. We can provide professional live and recorded coverage, bilingual communication and extensive event promotion through radio, digital and social channels. By working with established multicultural media like 2CR, Georges River Council can further its goals of community connection, cultural inclusion and genuine representation of local diversity in civic celebrations. Thank you for considering our support, and I sincerely hope this motion received the Council's endorsement.
Thank you, Ms. McKinley. Our next speaker is Theo Law. It's a written submission on NM 03425 Hurstville Plaza Amenities Block.
My name is Theo Law and I am a local business owner with an office right here at Hurstville Plaza. I express my strong support for Councillor Ben Wang's motion to urgently investigate and reopen the public toilets at the plaza. These toilets are not just a facility, they are a necessity. My customers, many of whom are families and elderly residents, often ask to use these public toilets. Since their closure, it has been an inconvenience. I've had to explain that the nearest alternative is 100 metres away, which is not always practical, especially for children, seniors, or people with mobility issues. Other business owners in the plaza have told me the same. We've had strangers walk into our premises looking for a toilet, which disrupts operations and raises safety concerns for staff. It's clear this closure has created a ripple effect of unintended consequences for the business community. I also want to highlight the ongoing issues at the site. From time to time, water leaks, rubbish builds up, and the area looks neglected. We're trying to maintain a clean and welcoming commercial precinct, but it's hard when a key piece of public infrastructure is left in such a state. As someone who has personally witnessed and reported antisocial behaviour in the area and worked with local police on some of these issues, I understand the concerns that led to the closure. But keeping the toilets shut indefinitely isn't the answer. We need practical solutions, improved security, better cleaning, temporary facilities if necessary, and clear communication with businesses and the public. I urge Council to complete its investigation as soon as possible and do everything in its power to reopen these toilets without further delay. This is a critical amenity in the heart of Hurstville. The longer it stays closed, the more it affects the livability and vibrancy of our city centre. Thank you, and I wholeheartedly support Councillor Wang's motion.
Thank you, Ms McKinley. You're not off the hook. There's another one. Lachlan Bain Tempest, another written submission for you. NM 03525. Congratulations to George Swim Club and St. Susie Sea Devils.
In April, 12 St George Swim Club members travelled north to the Australian Age Multi-Class Disability and Open Championships that were held at Brisbane Aquatic Centre. 5 of the 12 swimmers made their debut at the national stage, and it was the Reds' biggest nationals team in history. It also was one of our most successful Australian champs. Of the 36 swims, we had 10 top 20s, 13 PBs and 4 top 10s. Standout performances were Kelsey Corbett, who was top 10 in the 100 metres and 200 metre backstroke, Will Daniels, who was top 10 in the 50 metre breaststroke, Roger Ty, who made finals in the multi-class 50 metre freestyle and 50 metre breaststroke, and Lachlan Lau, who made an astonishing 5 finals in the multi-class events. A special mention needs to go to our club committee for their continual support of the team. The dedication of these volunteers does not go unnoticed, and we are grateful for everything they organise for the team. Lastly, we would like to extend our congratulations to our assistant coach, Sebastian Terrales, who coached his first swimmer to their first nationals. It is always a special moment to see a young coach developing our future of the club and the area, and what a future it's shaping up to be. We are already making plans for 2026 Australian champs, and we hope to be back bigger and better than ever before. Thank you, Georges River Council, for your support of local athletes and local sport. Athletes dream of racing for their club in the Australian champs, and your continual support of grassroots sport is helping our swimmers achieve one of their biggest goals of their swimming career. Many thanks.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Roger Z on NM 04025. Support for displaced businesses and not-for-profits resulting from developments. Thank you, Mr. Z.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, you just turned it off. Press the button. Yep, there you go.
Dear Mayor, councillors, general managers, and staff, thank you for this opportunity to speak to this motion. My name is Roger Share, and I am a board member and the treasurer of Share. Unfortunately, our president, Barbara Ward, is unable to be here tonight, as her sister, who recently underwent a triple bypass, had to be rushed back to the hospital this morning. Now, our thoughts are with Barbara and her family during this challenging time. I stand before you on behalf of Barbara and Share in support of the motion NM 040-25, support for displaced businesses and not-for-profits resulting from developments, and in particular, the redevelopments of 123 Wright Street and 108 to 124 Forest Road, Hurstville, where Share has its offices. We would like to thank Councillor Ben Wang for his continuing support, and particularly this motion that he has put forward. We're here because organisations such as Share, who have a deep-rooted history of serving our local community, are now facing uncertainty about their operational future. The need for affordable and accessible office space is critical for us to continue delivering our valuable services to the community. That is why we're requesting access to council community facilities as a suitable alternative venue for our operations. This facility will be a home away from home for some of the most isolated and vulnerable people in our community. Share is more than just a not-for-profit. It is a purpose-driven organisation that has been making a tangible difference in people's lives since 1985. We are widely recognised for our commitment to supporting individuals aged 50 and above through engage in exercise programs tailored to their needs. Our success speaks for itself. Over the last 5 years alone, approximately 4,700 participants in this local government area have benefited from our programs, contributing to the overall figure of more than 12,800 engaged participants that SHARE has enrolled in all our classes. SHARE is built on the values of care, inclusivity, affordability and flexibility, ensuring that every program we deliver remains relevant and accessible to those who need it most. We provide our services in welcoming, non-threatening environments that encourage health, movement and community connection. Given the impact we have had in the local area over decades, securing an affordable office space within a council-managed community facility will allow us to continue fostering health and well-being among our residents. Georges River Council has long been a champion for community-led initiatives, and today we ask for your continued support. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Zhang. Our next speaker is Tony Earls in person on NM04025, support for displaced businesses and not-for-profits resulting from developments. Tony Earls.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council. I'm representing Tony Earls. He just got sick and he had to leave. I think I've spoken to Vicky earlier on.
We were advised you were speaking in place of Mr. Bill Yuan.
Sorry?
We were advised you were speaking in place of Mr. Bill Yuan.
Tony Earls.
Is Mr. Bill Yuan here? Is that another person? No? Okay, all right. Oh, you've got, okay, so you're speaking in place of Tony. Sorry, I was given the wrong name. So Mr. Adrian Prakash is speaking in place of Tony Earls. Please go ahead.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council, General Manager and staff. My name is Adrian Prakash and I'm a CEO of an organisation called SHARE, as well as an advisory committee member in GRC Council. I stand before you today in support of the motion NM04-25, support of displaced businesses and not-for-profits resulting from developments, in particular reference to the demolition and redevelopment of 1-3 Wright Street and 108-124 Forest Road, Hurstville. DA 2021/0024, where SHARE has its office. I would like to thank Councillor Bang Wang for his continuing support and particularly this motion that he has put forward. We are here because organizations such as SHARE, who have a deep-rooted history of serving our local community, are now facing uncertainty about their operational future. The need for affordable and accessible office space is crucial for us to continue delivering our available services to the community. That is why, for us to continue delivering our available services to the community, that is why we are requesting access to council community facilities as a suitable alternative venue for higher operations. This facility will be home away from home for some of the most isolated and vulnerable people in our community. SHARE is just not a not-for-profit organization, but it's for purpose. SHARE is built on the values of care, inclusive affordability, and flexibility, ensuring that every program we deliver remains relevant and accessible to those who need most. We provide our services in welcoming, non-threatening environments that encourage health, movement, and community connection. Given the impact we have had on the local area over decades, securing an affordable office space within a council-managed community facility would allow us to continue fostering health and well-being among our residents. One of our biggest satisfaction we get when our vulnerable aging participants tell us how SHARE has changed their lives through evidence-based wellness and mindful program. Our program promotes seniors' well-being and social connection. My vision is to extinguish isolation, hospitalizations, and connect them with like-minded individuals. Georges River Council has long been a champion for community-led initiatives, and today we ask for your continued support in recognizing SHARE's need for assistance by providing us with access to a community facility and at an affordable rent. You are investing in health and well-being of the local community and ensuring that our programs remain available to those who rely on them. On behalf of Share and the countless individuals we serve, I urge you to support this motion and help us secure a sustainable future in the Georges River community. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And we have a testimonial from one of the participants who has lost her husband of 50 years. She has finally found an organization like Share. She called Share Home. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, Mr. Prakash. So our next speaker is Bill Yuan. Yep, and that is a written submission on NM04025, support for displaced businesses and not-for-profits resulting from developments.
Community motion request for community consideration in the development of 1 to 3 Wright Street, Hurstville. Require timely communication from developer. Request that the developer of the 1 to 3 Wright Street development project provide timely and detailed communication of the construction plan, including design, timeline, and potential disruptions to all surrounding residents and schools, including Hurstville Public School. Sufficient time should be allowed for feedback, consultation, and necessary adjustments before work commence. Prioritise student and pedestrian safety. Urge council to consider the high student population in the vicinity and require the implementation of clear and enforceable safety measures. These should include, but not be limited to, supervised pedestrian crossings near school zones, temporary fencing and safety signage, reduced speed limits during school hours, additional traffic control officers during peak school drop-off and pick-up times, minimise construction impact duration, request that council work with the developer to minimise the duration of construction where possible and limit noisy or high-impact activities to certain hours to reduce disruption to the local community and learning environment. Ongoing monitoring and community liaison. Recommend that council establish a dedicated contact point or working group involving local residents, school representatives and council officers to monitor ongoing works, receive community feedback and implement timely responses to any emerging issues related to safety, access or amenity.
Thank you, Ms. McKinley. Our next speaker is Roberto Camacho in person on NM04125, support for Hurstville Zagreb FC.
Good evening and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Roberto Camacho and I'm here on behalf of Hurstville Zagreb FC, a proud community football club with a 55-year history. For the past 30 years, Cars Park Flats has been our training and home ground. We are a successful club with a strong grassroots focus committed to developing future leaders of the sport. Over the years, we've produced 10 players who have represented Australia at the highest level. Today, the club has grown to approximately 440 registered players, including 140 women. That number continues to rise and we are proud to be part of the positive growth of female participation in football. Despite our progress, we face serious limitations with the current facilities at Cars Park. The amenities, including toilets, change rooms, storage and canteen, are severely aged, outdated, undersized and leak water when it rains. Storage space is so limited that change rooms are used to house equipment, making them unusable for players to change in. The toilets are in constant disrepair, often fixed by our own volunteers. Female players must change in small groups to ensure privacy and safety, and this is simply unacceptable in today's sporting environment. With so many community groups using Cars Park, including Hurstville Zagreb, cricket, touch footy, local schools and the general community, including Sans Souci FC, we ask that council prioritise the upgrade of the park. We're ready to collaborate and contribute where possible. We're not asking for more than what others already have, just a fair and equal standard for all who use the space. We also ask that council urgently address the poor state of the playing fields. These fields have seen no general maintenance in approximately 5 years, despite being heavily used all year round. We are seeking to be part of a long-term strategy to raise field quality to an acceptable standard. But as an immediate first step, we urge council to implement basic maintenance, top dressing and aeration, ideally after the football season, to restore safety and usability. At present, the fields are uneven and hazardous, with multiple injuries already sustained due to holes and surface undulations. As part of the broader strategy, we ask council to consider upgrading the lighting. Cars Park contains 2 main soccer fields, but only one is properly lit. With growing demand and limited daylight during the winter months, the lack of lighting is restricting training and match scheduling. Lastly, and perhaps the simplest request, we seek urgent approval to install a small temporary storage container near our existing facilities or in another suitable location approved by council. This would allow us to remove stored items into the change rooms and restore them for their intended use. We don't need anything too large. We would be satisfied with a container like the ones already in place at Todd's Park. In summary, Hurstville Zagreb FC is a growing club, proudly inclusive and community-minded, with a significant and increasing female presence. We share Cars Park with many other users, but the current facilities and fields are well below standard. We ask for council support in bringing Cars Park up to par with other grounds across the LGA, for the benefit of our club, our players, and the wider community who call this park home. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Our next speaker is David Fletcher. That's a written submission on question with notice 04145, flood study, Beverly Hills.
Residents' response to officers' response question number 3 regarding 133 and 131 Morgan Street, Beverly Hills, inclusion and exclusion in the Beverly Hills Master Plan Town Centre. Until 24 February 2025 Council resolution, there was no endorsed mapping or otherwise that 133 and 131 Morgan Street were outside the town centre zone since 2020. I acknowledge the Council officer's response. The green corridor and public link proposed in option 3 are not incorporated in a future master plan for the centre. This in no way suggests that 133 and 131 Morgan Street were to be taken out of the town centre. 24 April 2023, Council considered a report ENV 007-23 Beverly Hills Town Centre Master Plan, A Way Forward, and resolved a set of principles endorsed to guide the preparation of a new master plan only. There was no mapping endorsed, only written detail. Environment and Planning Committee ENV 034-22 dated 14 November 2022, option 3 was Council officers' recommendation to move forward with including 133 and 131 Morgan Street. I note several workshops were held with councillors as an outcome from November 2022. Council officers and engaged rates paid external town planners' recommendations are the guiding light for town planning. It seems confusing why the plan would change from the professionals' advice. It seems with the flood risks and gas risks are not being challenged internal and receiving the same internal attention for a mitigated way forward. To my understanding, Council's Floodplain Risk Management Committee met 3 times in the year 2024, and this year's first meeting is scheduled for May. This seems minimal for a committee that is affecting development rates, housing growth, land value, and insurance costs across the LGA. Regarding revitalising the Beverly Hills Town Centre, the greatest footprint that can be obtained is required for appropriate revitalisation. Decreasing the town centre footprint is another confusing chapter in the 2025 update plan, along with the flood and gas risks. I note in the Environment and Planning Committee meeting Monday, 10 February 2025, the flood impact risk assessment and MSC pipeline risk assessment reports have now been finalised. Both reports have identified necessary amendments to the draft master plan. These amendments result in a departure from the principles and elements that were adopted by Council on 24 April 2023. As a result, Table 1 in the above report is endorsed for the 2025 update Beverly Hills Master Plan, including mapping and detail. There is some inconsistent and inaccurate detail and mapping in Table 1 that makes it hard to know what exactly is being proposed. Since we now have a departure from the principles and elements that were adopted, an opportunity exists to review the plan as a whole and get the right result for the community.
Thank you, Ms McKinley. Our next speaker is Ben Balzo, in person on question with notice 01425, flood study, Beverly Hills.
I said on my application that I was going to have something to, but there was no information on how to be displayed.
Yeah, that's fine.
If you could just press the button there and you've got 3 minutes, please go ahead.
Oh, well, thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor and councillors and council officers, and thank you for letting me speak tonight. My name is Ben Balzer. I've worked as a GP in Beverly Hills since 1988. I just wanted to raise my concerns about the Beverly Hills flood study for 2023. I had some diagrams to show you, but unfortunately I didn't realise the proper procedure. I do note Councillor Ben Wang's question with notice, with thanks, and the officer's response. However, I think there are still problems. The 1 in 100 year flood levels from the 2023 study are very different to the levels from the 2016 study. The 2023 study was paid for by the council. It cost $7,000, which is a very small amount for a study affecting such a large area of land. So the 2016 one was done by SMEC and Catchment Solutions and cost hundreds of thousands of dollars and is paid for by the state government together with council. So the maps from council documents shows that the area of Beverly Hills affected by the 2023 flood study is much bigger than the 2016, and it affects hundreds of homes, and it affects their insurance, and it affects their property values. I mean, Sydney did actually have a 1 in 100-year flood storm in March 2021, and the levels didn't even reach the levels of the 2016 study, which is no surprise because safety margins are built into these studies, so they really are just worst case scenarios. Last year, my insurer, GIO, wrote to me to say that because of flood risk, they would no longer insure me, and I had to get another insurer. And hundreds of other dwellings in Beverly Hills are similarly affected. If you look at the 2023 study, I urge you to all have a look at that and have a look at what effect it has on the train lines. And you would see that essentially the council should be telling the railway to close down the East Hills Rail because that erroneous study shows the railway to be unsafe. So to me, it's clear that the risks in the 2023 study are highly exaggerated. I suspect it was done very cheaply and quickly. I even suspect that it was done on the assumption that there are no stormwater canals in the area or the stormwater canals no longer function, which is extremely inaccurate and highly biased. I believe the 2023 study is inaccurate, unreliable. I actually call for council to rescind the study. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Bowser. Our next speaker is Chadi Rabbi. A written submission on question with notice 01525, bus zone 310 Forest Road, Hurstville.
I'm a business owner of Dougie's Grill, Hurstville, located at 239 Forest Road, Hurstville. My main concern is that there's not enough loading zones or parking for customers or drivers who are delivering our goods on Forest Road. There is a bus stop right before the loading zone on Forest Road. That majority of the time, the bus that is there is out of service. You have bus stops down the bottom of Forest Road and around the corner from Forest Road, where I think would be a great idea to remove that bus zone and have that as a parking lot where it's a half an hour parking, 1 hour parking, or even a loading zone. I have one of my main suppliers that delivers to me twice a week. He honestly does about 5 to 6 slaps in order to try and find a parking spot, and that's just not in front of my shop. That's the whole of Hurstville. It's that congested, and we do not have enough parking spot outside on Forest Road.
Thank you, Ms. McKinley. Our next speaker is Tom Chen. It's a written submission on question with notice 01525, bus zone 310 Forest Road.
I'm the owner of Mr. Hot Potter, located at 243 Forest Road, Hurstville. I'm writing to raise an ongoing concern that has been affecting my business and others along Forest Road, the shortage of sufficient loading space and short-term parking for deliveries and customers. Directly in front of our store, there is a bus stop that is rarely used for passenger pickup or drop-off. In most cases, buses parked there are out of service and using the space as a driver rest point. While we fully respect and appreciate the important work of our transit drivers, this location is part of a busy commercial zone where street space is extremely limited and valuable. Although there is a designated loading zone nearby, it is frequently at capacity. Many delivery drivers, some of whom deliver as often as 6 days a week, often have to spend considerable time circling the area multiple times just to find somewhere to park. This not only causes unnecessary delays, but adds to traffic congestion and puts additional pressure on drivers who are already on tight schedules. That is why I respectfully propose that the current bus stop be repurposed as either an extension of the existing loading zone or as a short-term parking, ideally limited to 15 minutes or even 5 minutes. This would better support quick deliveries and customer pickups, drop-offs, which are essential for small businesses in high traffic areas like Forest Road. There are other active bus stops further along Forest Road and around the corner that are well positioned to continue serving passengers and drivers without disruption. This small change would make a significant impact, improving traffic flow, supporting local business operations, and ensuring better access for delivery drivers and customers alike. Thank you for your time and consideration. I would be happy to provide further input or discuss the matter in more detail.
Thank you, Ms. McKinley. That concludes our public forum, and we will now move to the confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting. Item CCL 03425, confirmation of the minutes of the council meeting held on 28th April 2025. Moved by Deputy Mayor Liu, seconded by Councillor Lansbury. Councillors, any discussion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against? I declare that carried. Councillors, I have one mayoral minute tonight. It is MM00925, and that is congratulations to the Sydney East School Sports Association and St George AFC on hosting the 2025 New South Wales CHSFA Boys AFL Championships at Olds Park. I'll move that motion as is published, and I'll take the minute as read. Just make a couple of comments. I wanted to say what a wonderful success the event was. The efforts of St George Australian Football Club was quite phenomenal to support this event. They provided 20 club volunteers across 3 weekdays, which meant that they likely took time off work or rearranged their schedule to provide that support to support that tournament. The club highlighted the unique aspect of Olds Park to host these types of state level events due to the fact that there are 2 AFL playing fields there, and we heard from Mr. Witters tonight, who also commended the ground staff for their support and the council officers for their support. So the club was really grateful for the support from council, and it was great to see so many parts of our organisation come together to make it happen. Councillor Jamieson and I were delighted to attend and present trophies to the winning teams. So I'd just like to say a huge congratulations to everyone involved, and it was a great showcase for our community. Do any other councillors wish to speak to the motion? If not, I will put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against? Declare it carried. Councillors, we have a number of condolences. The first condolence I'm going to move is for Miss Margaret Callister. On behalf of council and the staff, I offer my condolences at the passing of 103-year-old Margaret Callister, who left us on the 22nd of April 2025. And hello to the staff and residents from George's estate and Margaret's family, who I believe may be tuning in tonight to listen. Margaret's fascinating life was recently featured in Council's recent community magazine, so you can have a read of that. It spoke of how her uncle Cyril invented Vegemite, how she, we have a photo here of Margaret, how her uncle Cyril invented Vegemite, how she loved living in Bexley and was heavily connected to her community, making her a proud community champion. The article also celebrated her 103rd birthday this February at her home, which was George's estate in Penshurst. She had a lovely lunch with friends and family, and yes, there were even bright pink numbered balloons. Margaret was born in Ballarat before moving to Cogra and then Bexley in 1934. She even called herself Bexley Callister. She loved living in Bexley and worked in the Commonwealth Bank at Bexley for 6 years. It was a joy for her to be an active member of the wonderful Bexley community. She had many community ties, you name it, she was involved. She was a member of the Baptist Church, the Liberal Party, and a member of St George Historical Society. Her family connection to Vegemite was through her uncle Cyril from her father's side of the family. He was a food technologist and was asked by a gentleman called Frank Walker to develop our Australian spread. England had Marmite, but Australia needed its own version, and so Cyril developed it. More than 22 million jars of Vegemite are sold each year, but when the salty black paste was first produced in 1923, the public wasn't interested. Margaret said Vegemite wasn't popular in Australia to begin with, but it wasn't until World War II, when it was given to the soldiers to eat in their rations, that it became popular. The soldiers loved it, and after the war, its popularity soared. She said the family talked more about it these days than they ever did back then, although they did always have a jar of Vegemite on the table. Margaret enjoyed working immensely. After 6 years at Commonwealth Bank in Bexley, she transferred to Haymarket for 3 years, and at 25, she travelled to Europe and worked as a secretary in London for a year. She travelled to Tasmania and worked as a secretary to the General Superintendent of Australian Newsprint Mills. She lived in New Norfolk for 3 years. Thinking back on those times always made her smile. She moved on to New Zealand. She did not enjoy being a housemaid, cook and cleaner, but she liked the free board and lodgings it provided. Travelling and exploring the world was her passion. She said she was a bit before her time. She loved to travel in an era where getting married and having children young was the expectation. And questions about when she was going to find someone and get married, she found to be very rude. She had high expectations. She saw her father as such a wonderful man and never found anyone like him. Many fine young men were killed in the war or came back damaged. She never married, had no children, but was part of a big family as her father was one of 10. She had many cousins all over the world, and she remained close to plenty of nieces and nephews that she kept in regular contact with. She loved and valued her independence and said she did not have any regrets, and if she had her time over, she wouldn't change a thing. Being a Christian motivated her. She was 49 when her father passed away, and she stopped travelling to take care of her mother and sister. She took her mother to Ryde Hospital every weekend, and they would visit her sister Helen, who lived at the hospital for 20 years and died at 58. She never took good health for granted, and it was important for her to make the time to take care of others. She valued kindness and keeping a sense of humour, not to take life too seriously. She said not to spend too much time worrying about things. She believed everything has a way of working itself out, and worrying was a waste of time and bad for your health. The advice she had for younger generations was to live a decent life, don't get into drugs and drinking, be active in your community, and look after one another. She felt that there is something to be grateful and thankful for every day. When asked about her greatest achievement, she said, "I think my greatest achievement is living to a ripe old age." I therefore commend that Council write to Margaret Callister's family and express sincere condolences on her passing and to recognise her contributions to our community. Is there any other councillors who wish to speak on Ms Callister's condolence? No. I have another condolence. It's for Dr Frances E.M. Ford. It is with great sadness that I acknowledge the passing of Dr Frances E.M. Ford, a long-standing resident, professional and community champion within the Georges River area. Dr Ford passed away on the 9th of May 2025 at the age of 88. Born on the 20th of September 1936, Dr Ford moved to our community in 1963 and made the Georges River area his home, living in Hurstville, Blakehurst and later Sans Souci. For over 6 decades, he was a steadfast presence and made extraordinary contributions across multiple spheres of civic life, including health, sport, tourism, the environment and heritage. A respected dentist, Dr Ford served generations of families from his practices in Butlers Road, Park Road and later Dora Street in Hurstville. He was a proud and active member of the Australian Dental Association from 1963 until his passing and served as a president of the St George Dental Association. He was awarded life membership for his outstanding service to the profession. Dr Ford's commitment extended far beyond dentistry. He was a tireless advocate for the protection and enjoyment of our natural assets. He served on the Georges River Catchment Committee from 1975 and was a long-time board member of the Lambeth Park Management Committee, helping shape what is now the Georges River National Park. His love of the water was well known. In 1979, Dr Ford launched riverboat cruises from Sans Souci Wharf using a retired Sydney Harbour ferry named Protector. He later acquired the Bass and Flinders, marking the beginning of what became a beloved local business, Bass and Flinders Cruises. Under his stewardship, Sans Souci Wharf was developed into a vibrant tourist facility, including the introduction of whale watching tours from 2002. Dr Ford also played a pivotal role in providing public aquatic facilities for the community. He held the lease for Cars Park Pool from 1971 and later secured the lease for Sans Souci Pool, offering countless families safe and accessible places to learn to swim and enjoy the water. It was at these pools that his children swam, and most notably it was from Cars Park Pool that his daughter Michelle Ford rose to become an Olympic champion, bringing home a gold medal in swimming and making local history in the process. Dr Ford was also deeply involved in community committees and initiatives, serving on the Bicentennial Committee and the Sydney Port's first Port Club for over a decade, as well as being an enduring member of Transport New South Wales Botany Bay and Port Hacking Advisory Committee. He served as Vice Chairman of the Australia Day Botany Bay Regatta Committee for 18 years and helped establish the New South Wales Charter Vessel Association. Dr Frances E.M. Ford exemplified a life of purpose, public service and community spirit. His legacy is felt not just through the infrastructure and initiatives he helped establish, but through the lives he touched and the pride he fostered in our local heritage. On behalf of Georges River Council and the entire community, I offer our deepest condolences to his family, especially his wife Jan, Michelle and his children, and acknowledge with gratitude his lifetime of service to our area. May he rest in peace. Are there any other councillors who wish to offer condolences for Dr Frances E.M. Ford? Councillor, sorry, yeah, Councillor Moore.
Yeah, I'd just like to say a couple of things, and thank you for that beautiful condolence motion we've just done for Francine Ford, Ian and his wife Jan, Michelle, the whole family have been great champions for the rebuild of Cars Park Pool, even up to the point when we were doing the master plan down at Cars Park, you know, probably just over 18 months or so ago. Ian had just gotten out of hospital after having some tumours removed from his brain, and came down to, you know, advocate again for the pool being rebuilt at the existing site. You know, it would be outstanding if we could get that pool going again. And well, we will get that pool going again, but honour the memory of Ian in there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Councillor Allison is offering condolences on the passing of Peter Demure and John Chait. Councillor Allison.
Thanks very much, Madam Mayor. I would like to pay tribute to two gentlemen from Oakley who are long. Can you hear me okay? Who are long-term members of Oakley Lions Club and live their lives focused on the noble cause of servitude to others less fortunate than themselves. Peter Demure and John Chait were both dedicated members of their local club for many years. Peter for 25 years, 5 with Oakley and 20 with St George Lions, and John nearly 35 years with Oakley. Let me start with Peter. Vice President of Oakley Lions, Peter lived in my street until his untimely death 2 months ago, but I'm almost ashamed to say that I never knew him. It's only posthumously that I've become aware of what a wonderful citizen Peter was, and I'd like to take the time to acknowledge him and share with you all some of his countless deeds as told to me by another Oakley Lion, John Morgan. Peter was generous, warm and beyond kind. His unwavering devotion to our community and his family extended well beyond his years with Oakley Lions. He dedicated his time to supporting various charities like Gabby's Sewing Angels Group from St Gabriel's Church at Bexley, who repair and make babies and girls' clothing and sustainable sanitary products and send them off to such needy places as Malawi, Syria, and close to home, Timor-Leste. Here at home in Oakley, he supported the Crateful Group, who provide affordable groceries sourced from supermarket rejects to families finding it difficult with the burdens of the cost of living. Another of Peter's charities was One Meal, Canterbury Bankstown based at Riverwood, who do similar to Crateful but prepare and cook donated food for neighbours during a tough. The Seymour Learning Centre, helping vulnerable youth and families, also gained valuable patronage from Peter. The Men's Walk and Talk, a group who help quiet men express themselves in an informal setting without the need for a beer or three, was yet another of Peter's passions. Peter received the St George Community Award in 2024 for individual volunteer achievement in recognition of his services to our community. Whether Peter was running the barbecue, selling raffle tickets at Oakley Hotel, collecting food for those in need outside IGA Oakley, or helping manage the Christmas market day, he was always there to offer a helping hand and a kind word to those who needed it. He has left a lasting impact on all who had the privilege of knowing him and who spent time in his company. Our thoughts are with Peter's wife Bev, their family and friends at this time. Finally, Peter, your priceless work here is done. Now sadly on to our other great loss. John Chait I did know, but until I attended his funeral at Nawi Baptist Church a week ago, I didn't know a lot about him. Years ago, I would sit outside Dolce Cafe in Oakley with my workmates after a long, hard day, and John would occasionally walk past us on his way home from the post office where he worked for many years. We engaged in friendly banter and then he'd head home. One day he walked inside and we assumed that he was going in to order a coffee. Then he reappeared, waved and headed home. We learned later that he had gone inside to pay for our 4 coffees. Sure, they weren't as expensive as they are now, but this unexpected generosity was an indication that this bloke was someone special. I also bumped John when the end of year presentations were on at Oakley Public School, where my daughters attended. John was there to present the Lions Peace Prize, an art prize open to all students who cared to draw or paint a pertinent annual theme of peace and who potentially could go on to win at national level. John turned up every year without fail, and also did so at Oatley West Public and St Joseph's Public Primary Schools. Now, just quietly, John was probably the last person who you would think likely to place himself in a situation requiring announcements and speeches. John stammered at times. I learned at his funeral that as a boy he suffered from a particularly debilitating stammer, and being the 1940s and 50s, he was bullied unmercifully by his peers. This caused John to lash out at the cruel boys, and of course, he was the one called out and sent up to the principal's office for disciplining, not the perpetrators. One day, the principal, tired of seeing John and the revolving door, warned him that unless he controlled his temper, he would amount to nothing. This impacted John's life in a huge way. A short time later, John was on a horse riding camp at Warwick Farm, and the old bushy cook learned of John's affliction. The cook too had to overcome a terrible stammer, so took him under his wing and gave the young fella some practical advice on how to beat this dreaded curse. Now let's get back to Oatley Public School because it's time to give out the Peace Prize. John rises to the occasion, like every year, dressed in his Lions jacket, festooned with Lions medals. He was giving his speech when that dreaded stammer returned. Some little kids sitting on the floor in front of us started to giggle. You could feel the tension in the air. This train was jumping the rails and there was nothing anybody could do about it. Nobody except John Shea. And he did. He stopped, took a big breath, gave out a little whistle, and continued like nothing had ever happened. At that moment, John Shea became my personal hero. John was a tireless advocate for those in need and contributed immensely to Oatley Lions and several other charitable endeavours, including scouting, where he fulfilled roles from leaders to group leader. Over the years, John has helped provide life-changing assistance to those living with hearing loss, as the immediate past Australian Lions Hearing Dogs State Director for New South Wales. Within Oatley Lions, John was well known for his role leading our Feed the Hungry project, collecting non-perishable food for the hungry and homeless. He coordinated the barbecues and organised the Lions Christmas cake every year. In his spare few moments, John loved the game of golf. To further highlight John's quirkiness, every member of Oatley Lions would receive a phone call from John first thing on their birthday to politely listen to him sing the entire happy birthday stanza, whether you wanted to hear it or not. And then, being an old postie, he would hand deliver a birthday card resplendent with a lion on the front page. In 2022, John received the St George Community Award for Individual Volunteer Achievement, and in 2024 received the Australian Lions Childhood Cancer Research Foundation Gold Award. John was also a recipient of the Melvin Jones Fellowship, the Helen Keller Fellowship, and was made a life member of Oatley Lions Club. We extend our deepest sympathies to John's family during this difficult time. John, like Peter before him, leaves behind a legacy of service and compassion and fulfilment of a life well lived.
Thank you, Councillor Allison. Do any other councillors have any wish to add to the condolences for Peter DeMero or John Choate? No, Councillor Stratokopoulos has one more condolence, which is for Alexo Kunyaski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillors, I'd like to put forward a condolence motion for Alexo Kunyaski. Alexo was born in Dolno, Sripsi, Macedonia on the 5th of October 1939, and he passed away on the 12th of May 2025. Alexo grew up in his little village, finishing school, then embarking on the skilled craft of shoemaking. Alexo served 2 years in the National Army before marrying his life partner, Trena. They had 3 children together, Liliana, Slav, and Susanna. In 1970, Alexo set sail for Australia to build a better life for his family. In 1971, his family flew to Australia and they were reunited on this new continent. Alexo embraced his new life in Australia, working as a labourer at Newcastle's BHP and later tube makers. In 1988, Alexo and his family moved to Peakhurst, and he lived out his years in Haddons Avenue. Alexo's greatest joy was his family. He was a proud, loving grandfather to his 8 grandchildren, Christopher, Elena, Katerina, Emily, Jasmine, Natasha, Anthony, and David. The memory of Alexa will live long in the hearts of all who knew him, as he was the true meaning of the word gentleman. May he rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stratokopoulos. Do any other councillors have any condolences? If not, we'll stand for a minute silence. Thank you. Please be seated. Move councillors to the committee reports. Our first item is CCL 03525, report of the Assets and Infrastructure Committee meeting held on the 12th of May 2025. Councillor Amber Haber.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I put that the Assets and Infrastructure Committee recommendations for items ASS 022-25 to ASS 021-25 as detailed in our business papers be adopted by council. That being said, we'd like to pull out item TAC 032-25 from the Traffic Advisory Committee itemising ASS 22-25.
So you're moving all items excluding TAC 032-25.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
That's moved by Councillor Andy Haberha and seconded by Councillor Pum. Councillors, any comments on the items that have been moved?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to move an amendment to.
So we're voting on the items excluding item TAC 032-25. So all other items, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare that carried. We now move to item TAC 032-25, Edward Street, Carlton, proposed parking restriction. Councillor Amber Haber. Councillor Gall. Are you going to move the item as is published in the paper, or and then Councillor Gall is going to amend it, or is Councillor Gall going to move the original motion? I just need the motion moved.
I'm happy to move the original motion.
Okay, move the motion as published, and now Councillor Gall wishes to propose an amendment to that.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. So I propose an amendment to, if you've got them up there, on point E of the recommendation, that despite the technical recommendation.
Sorry, I just need a seconder on Councillor Amber Haber's original. Would you like to second it, Councillor Gall?
Sure.
Yeah, okay, great. And yeah, just pop your microphone back on and you can propose your amendment, sorry.
Yep, so this is about the intersection of Edward Street and Colburn Avenue. So I'd like to move an amendment that the council commence the planning and design work, the installation of a roundabout at the intersection of Edward Street and Colburn Avenue, Carlton, within the next financial year. I think everything's already on the screen. Madam Mayor, action speaks louder than words. We've heard from many community members over the last 5 years since traffic has really shot up in that street. It has become really much a rat run. The community has asked for a roundabout. The community has asked for action. The community deserves transparency and certainty, and the community fundamentally and ultimately deserve timelines.
Councillor Gall, the motion amendment that you've proposed is asking council to commit to a resolution that is unfunded in a future budget. So on that basis, I don't think we can accept this amendment, because the only time when council can resolve to commit something in the budget is at the June council meeting when the full budget is adopted.
Well, this is the purpose of the amendment, Madam Mayor. You may recall that I tried to move the motion back in November at this forum last year. It was voted down and amended by Councillor Stratopoulos to send back to the Traffic Committee. I don't want to play a game of roundabout. I just want this to be resolved. I put forward this amendment. Let's get to a vote.
I understand the motion put forward last year and the report that went to the Traffic Committee was in response to that. Item E is to progress on that, which is to do the feasibility on the roundabout when the new crash data is received. The amendment serves no utility because it cannot bind council to committing to a future budget. That can only be done at the June council meeting. So on that basis, I can't accept the amendment that's put forward because it cannot bind council to anything. It has no utility in the motion. So, Councillor Amber Haber, I'm going to go back to you to the originally moved motion. And if you would like to speak to that motion.
I reserve my rights.
You reserve your right? Okay. And Councillor Dowd, do you wish to make any further comments in regards to the original motion?
No, not at this stage.
No? Okay. Councillors, is there anyone wishing to speak against the motion as moved by Councillor Amber Haber? If not, I will put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare it carried. We move to CCL 036-25, report of the Community and Culture Committee meeting held on the 12th of May 2025. Councillor Lansbury.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move the recommendation as it appears in the business paper that the Community and Culture Committee recommendations for items COM 014-25 to COM 015-25 as detailed below be adopted by council. Thank you.
And seconded by Deputy Mayor Liu. Councillors, any discussion on these items? If not, I will put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare it carried. We move to CCL 037-25, report of the Environment and Planning Committee meeting held on the 12th of May 2025. Councillor Marnie.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move that the items contained in that report of the Environment and Planning Committee held on 12th of May 2025 be adopted by council. Thank you.
Thank you, and seconded by Councillor Lansbury. Councillors, any discussion on those items? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare it carried. Next, we move to CCL 038-25, report of the Finance and Governance Committee meeting held on the 12th of May 2025. Councillor Jamieson.
I'd like to move the recommendations of the committee.
Thank you, Councillor Jamieson, and Deputy Mayor Liu has seconded that. Councillors, any discussion? If not, I will put the item. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare it carried. We move to Environment and Planning items. First one, CCL 039-25, Accelerated Streetlight Replacement Program. Councillor Marnie.
I'd like to move that item as published in the report. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, and seconded by Councillor Wang. Would you like to make any comments, Councillor Marnie?
No, thank you.
Councillor Wang, you wish to make some comments?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So yeah, so it's based. This report is based on my motion a few months ago. But it was with great pride that I congratulate the council, the office, and our partners, Ausgrade and the New South Wales government, for delivering one of the most outstanding sustainability success stories in our city's recent history. So the near completion of the accelerated LED streetlights replacement program. So let me just share a few highlights that deserve celebrations. So over 5,000 streetlights, or 99.45% of the eligible fixtures, has now been replaced with energy efficient LEDs. The transformation has reduced our energy consumption for streetlights by a remarkable 51%. We have cut our electricity use from over 5 million kWh in 2016-17 to just over 2.6 million last year. So the project was financially sound. Initial capital expenditure is just over 1 million, and largely offset by over 800,000 in grants and energy certificates, bring our net investment down to just over 295K. So in return, this program is generating an ongoing annual net saving of over 143K and a projected maintenance cost reduced by 41%. This is not just a win for sustainability, it's a master class in responsible financial management. A 40+ reduction in costs is extraordinary by any public sector bank. As someone has searched this subject across other councils and case studies, so I have yet found a comparable initiative so well executed and transparently reported. Madam Chair, Madam Mayor, so this is a major milestone in our commitment to achieve net zero emissions. We all know that reaching net zero is not easy. It demands bold leadership, innovation, and a relentless focus on implementation. This project proved that we are capable of all three. But let's not stop here. Let's proudly share this achievement with the New South Wales government agencies like the Office of LG, our local government, and the Energy and Climate Change Division, and with the media outlets to demonstrate what's possible through local government leadership, and our community to showcase real action on climate change, and more importantly, other councils, so they too can learn from GRC's success. GRC may not always be seen as the most progressive council in Great Sydney, but today I believe we have the bragging rights and we should use them. Let's build on this success. Let's extend LED upgrade to council buildings, parks, and community venues. Let's lead by example, showing that the sustainability and the social and the sound physical policy can and must go hand in hand. Congratulations again to everyone involved. Let's keep lighting the way forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wang. Councillors, anyone wishing to speak against the motion? If not, I will put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. All those against, declare it carried. Next item is CCL 04025, endorsement to submit biodiversity, character and FSPA planning proposal as an independent planning proposal. Councillor Marnie.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move this report as published in the business paper. Thank you.
Thank you, and seconded by Councillor Lansbury. Councillor Marnie, do you wish to speak to the item?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Across Australia, 500,000 hectares of land are cleared annually, meaning for each 100 hectares of bushland, around 70,000 birds, reptiles and mammals are killed. Although tonight's agenda item obviously deals with a far smaller area with considerably less fauna, many of these native species were identified in a very own biodiversity study. For time reasons, I won't go into detail of native flora, chiefly trees which we lost. The LGA is one of a very few regions in the nation where the responsible authority, in this case our council, had the foresight to severely mitigate these losses by limiting development and strengthening environmental safeguards, particularly within our existing foreshore scenic protection area, or FSPA. Yesterday, Councillor Allison and I attended Council's National Sorry Day event, Walking and Yarning on Country, where the audience learned from Uncle Dean that some of the plant species present in Oatley Park are used to make medicines, bush foods, utensils and tools, and are therefore treasured by our traditional custodians. The same species are also common in many private gardens in Pecos Ward. I don't believe that any of our special flora and fauna should fall prey to the bulldozers or the water quality of the George River be compromised under the guise of the low and mid-rise housing policy, which permits developers of unit blocks and duplexes to make a quick buck and yield a dubious return in terms of housing quality or density, when council is offering a far more viable alternative which will provide more than adequate housing choices and at the same time protect our irreplaceable flora and fauna, which are rare in the city metropolitan area. I therefore fully support Council submitting this proposal as it reflects the extensive studies completed by our expert staff using their vast knowledge, which incorporated the opinions of a local community, which were gathered through an unprecedented 6-month consultation period. I hope that the department will examine its proposal in the thorough detail which it so richly deserves, not only with regard to its impressive environmental advantages, but for its crucial cultural benefits as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Marnie. Councillor Lansbury, do you wish to speak to the item? Councillor Marnie, could you switch your light off? Thanks.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I just would like to add to Councillor Marnie's comments and thank him for making those, and also to thank our speakers tonight, Adrian Polhill and Kim Wagstaff, if he's still here, who both spoke so eloquently about this particular issue. They are very hard acts to follow because they know their stuff, and they underline just how important this planning proposal is for us as an LGA trying to maintain biodiversity, and hopefully the department will recognise that and will support it. So I wholeheartedly support this recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Lansbury. Councillor Johnson, you have a question?
Yeah, sorry, I did actually pick it up, but just to, maybe this is a dumb question, but why do we have to pull it out? Can we not keep, like, are we not covered at certain times, and why do we have to pull it out and then redo it, sort of thing?
Why are we submitting a new proposal as opposed to amending the existing one? To the director.
Madam Mayor and councillors, when you get planning proposals with rather complex gateway determinations and uncertain timeframes, it's better to separate them out. It's essentially so give us a better chance to move this through on its own without getting caught up with the other housing supply one, which we also have a bit bigger behind, which talks to housing supply. It's much easier to push two different issues, and they're very different issues, supply versus the biodiversity. So it's almost best practice to do that. You don't want them complicating each other's progress, which invariably planning does that. Yeah.
Thank you. Councillors, does anyone wish to speak against this item? If not, I'm actually going to go around the room because it is a planning item, and Ms McKinley will call for the votes.
Your vote, Madam Mayor?
4.
Councillor Allison?
4.
Councillor Amber Haberhart?
4.
Councillor Anzalotti?
4.
Councillor Arthur?
4.
Councillor Demoski?
4.
Councillor Gow?
4.
Councillor Jamison?
4.
Councillor Lansbury?
4.
Councillor Liu?
4.
Councillor Marnie?
4.
Councillor Mort?
4.
Councillor Pum?
4.
Councillor Stratocopoulos?
4.
Councillor Wang? 4. 15 votes for, unanimous.
Thank you. I declare the motion carried. We move to CCL 04125, Hurstville Aquatic Leisure Centre and San Souci Leisure Centre Community Energy Upgrades Fund Grant Application. Councillor Marnie.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move the report as published in the business paper. Thank you.
Councillor Lansbury is going to, sorry, Deputy Mayor Lewis seconded that. Councillor Marnie, do you wish to speak to it?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. According to the report, gas is the second highest source of carbon emissions and comprises 24% of council's operational emissions. The annual gas use and carbon emissions from both aquatic centres is 17,000 gigajoules and almost 1,000 tonnes of carbon emissions, respectively. I applaud council staff for pursuing these grants, which, if it is successful, will be of immense benefit to the environment and set a commendable example to both the local community and industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Marnie. Deputy Mayor Lou, do you wish to speak to the item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just trying to echo what Councillor Marnie just said. Thank you for the council put the general manager's rights to submit this grant. Hopefully, we can successfully get the grant and get the project done and on the way to the environmental more protection project. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Lou. Do any councillors wish to speak against this item? If not, I will put the item. All those in favour say aye. All those against, declare it carried. Move to finance and governance items. The first one is CCL 04225, Local Government Remuneration Tribunal Determination, Mayor and Councillor fees for 25-26. Councillor Jamieson.
The motion that council resolves to maintain the current level of remuneration for the mayor and councillors for the 25-26 financial year with no change to the existing fees.
Councillor Marnie has seconded that. Councillors, anybody, do you wish to speak for this motion? Councillor Marnie, anyone wishing to speak against? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, declare it carried. Next is CCL 04325, General Manager's Instrument of Delegation. Councillor Jamieson.
I move the recommendation of the staff.
Thank you, Councillor Jamieson. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Allison, thank you. Anyone wishing to speak for this motion? Anyone wishing to speak against? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, declare it carried. Next is CCL 04425, application pursuant to Councillor Ward Discretionary Fund Policy, April 2025. Councillor Jamieson.
I move the recommendation of the staff.
Thank you. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Liu. Anybody wishing to speak on this item? If not, I'll put the item. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare it carried. We move to assets and infrastructure items. The first one, CCL 04525, Shivers Hill Shopping Centre, Lugano, Public Amenities Feasibility Report. Councillor Amber Haberhart.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I move the recommendation as outlined in the business papers.
Sure. Are you move? Okay, you want to move it as published?
Yep.
Okay. Does someone want to second that? Have you got an
I'll
amendment?
second that. Yeah, I've submitted an amendment.
Okay, so you're going to second the amendment, second the motion, and then propose the amendment.
Correct.
Perfect. Okay, Councillor Anzalotti is the seconder, and you have an amendment.
I do.
If you want to propose that, and then Councillor Amber I can advise if she agrees with it. You can read it out first.
Yeah, okay. Oh, okay. Specsavers. Here we go. Give me a second because I can't read that from here. Okay, so the reason why I'm actually submitting this amendment, just to make it clear, is that we need to get a movement on this. I'm going to read it out.
Sorry, read it first, and then we'll see.
Okay, so
second, and then you can speak to it.
That Council A receives and notes the findings of the feasibility report for the proposed public amenities facility at Shivers Hill Shopping Centre, Lugano. B, that Council acknowledges the continued advocacy of Shivers Hill shopkeepers and business owners for the installation of a public amenities facility to support the Lugano community. C, notes the challenges associated with the two potential locations identified in the report and excludes them from further consideration. D, accordingly requests that council officers further investigate the feasibility of locating the facility further towards Shivers Avenue near the exit of the car park. E, conduct further community consultation on this proposed location, and E, request that if this location is deemed feasible, consideration is to be given to the installation of option C as outlined on the report.
Thank you. And Councillor Amber do you accept that? Okay, wonderful. And first of all, Councillor Amber do you wish to speak as the mover on the item?
Reserve my rights, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Councillor Anzalotti, would you like to speak on the item?
Yeah, I'm going to speak on it because it's something that has been on the forefront for me from the time I decided to run for council, and getting down into Lugano and door knocking. It was the only really issue that was impacting residents down there, not just residents, but the shop owners. So what I'm asking you tonight is that you support this amendment, because the council recommendation to do nothing is actually not an option. All right, so it's a long-standing, undeniable community demand that these people in Lugano have been asking for. It's not a new request. It's something that Kevin Green, okay, when he was mayor, was looking at over 10 years ago, and still, through those pleas of 10 years ago, nothing has been done. Councillor Marnie has advocated for this facility, and I congratulate him for bringing the needs of the Lugano community to the attention of council with his motion last year, asking for the feasibility report to be actually completed. He listened to the needs of his community and he acted on them. In 2024, over 500 signatures were signed on a handwritten petition demanding a toilet at Shivers Hill. That's nearly 10% of the Lugano population. Council conducted their own online survey. Okay, just 82 responses. Only 42 responses were against it when we do the maths. How can we even begin to justify ignoring 500 physical signatures? I've got more that I collected on the weekend of people who are actually residents of Lugano, gathered through active on-the-ground engagement in favour of 42 online clicks. We can't, and if we do, we're sending a clear message that this council is indifferent. The push is widening. Just recently, the local state member for Oatley has launched his own petition, piggybacking off the advocacy that the grassroots campaign has done in that community. The momentum is no longer isolated. It's going across all levels of government, and yet this chamber still remains the roadblock, but we need to get this amendment through tonight. The reality on the ground, last Saturday when I was down there talking to business owners, they have told me that they've witnessed delivery drivers and patrons defecating behind the shops. Let me say that again. People are relieving themselves in public behind local businesses in 2025 because there is no public toilet there. This is a public health hazard, it's failing of planning, and it's just an embarrassment. All right, so council's recommendation of option A, no facility, it's just not on, okay? Lugano residents have done everything a council can ask of engaged citizens. They've petitioned, they've spoken, business owners have rallied behind them. To respond with silence or worse, with a sign, as outlined in the report, directing people to a toilet, which is a 10-minute walk away, when actually it's probably about 20, is absurd, it's patronising and deeply disrespectful for the elderly, for the people with mobility issues, and for parents with toddlers. And the counter argument, and why it doesn't stand, I'm going to just debunk a few of these issues now. So it's been argued that Shivers Hill is classified as a small village under the council's commercial centre strategy. People point out that other small villages, Alwa, Blakers, Carlton, Kingsroad, Beakers, Pensis and Susie, lack council-owned public toilets. I'm going to dismantle this right now. Shivers Hill is unlike any other small village in our LGA. It serves a really tight-knit community. It's geographically isolated with limited nearby amenities. It has a significant older population with greater accessibility needs. It experiences considerably high foot traffic due to its layout and its central location, and certainly and critically actually it's home to a well-utilised IGA supermarket, drawing sustained activity throughout the whole entire day. This IGA makes Shivers Hill a daily essential stop, not just a casual strip of shops. It's a core part of the daily life of the people in Lugano. This unique role within the suburb elevates the level of service the area requires, including a public toilet. Moreover, this argument using inaction elsewhere to justify inaction here is not sound governance, it's lazy governance, and we can't compound a mistake, we need to correct them. It's cost effective, so option C, $240,000. I mean, it says in the report that the existing $80,000 cleaning budget, can I please take some extra time?
Councillor Maybar, you're moving extension of time.
Thank you. It's achievable within the existing $80,000 cleaning budget with smarter resource allocations, and I'm quoting that directly from the report. There is grant funding, why don't we apply for it? Risks, they're not unique, they're manageable. Vandalism, it's an issue that is across every single public toilet on this planet, okay? The answer is not avoidance, it's smart design, it's lighting, it's passive surveillance, it's proper maintenance. If we use vandalism as an excuse to not build a toilet, we might as well just shut every facility down across the LGA tonight. This is a matter of equity, and this is where it gets me. It's about dignity and it's about economic logic. So the absence of the public amenities doesn't just inconvenience people, it excludes. It excludes the elderly, it excludes families with young children, it excludes people with disabilities, and it punishes business owners who are tired of managing the fallout. Okay, it's not about just avoiding discomfort, it's about driving local economic activity. A toilet facility will increase foot traffic, it encourages longer visits and improved customer satisfaction. It translates into more people shopping locally, eating at our cafes, supporting small businesses and putting money back into our Lugano community. If we truly care about local businesses, then we must give them the infrastructure they need to thrive. it actually contradicts our own strategic plan, and this is what got me to. So our community strategic plan promises to provide quality long-term assets for everyone and to ensure that infrastructure meets the evolving needs of the community. To reject this project here tonight, to abandon it, actually abandons those very commitments. In fact, your own staff report highlights the strategic risk that council is falling behind the needs and expectations of the community. So the question is simple: are we going to back our own policies or continue to make exceptions when it comes to the people of Lugano? So we're not here to manage surveys, we're actually here to serve the people who have elected us. And what about the people of Lugano? They've spoken, they've waited, they've been ignored. If we walk away, we're telling them that your voice doesn't matter, your health doesn't matter, and your dignity does not matter. So I'm saying enough now here tonight. Please, please pass this amendment. Delivering a toilet at Shivers Hill it's financially sound. It's operationally feasible, okay, especially if we can see there's a strip along in that existing garden bed where it can be built. It's strategically justified. It's socially responsible, and it's demanded by the community. So I'm asking everyone tonight to reject apathy, reject the excuses, reject option A and support this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Anzalotti. Do any other councillors wish to speak to the motion? Councillor Marnie? Councillor Anzalotti, just switch your light off. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, I appreciate Councillor Anzalotti's speech and also the amendment, because I do agree with it. Just like to point out though that when I put this motion in last year, it was for a feasibility report. It wasn't to actually build the project. I understand there are reasons why we can and can't build. There's costs, there's underground sewers, etc. So I get that, and I know it can't be done tomorrow. But having said that, I appreciate the work the staff have done on this as well, particularly our Director of Assets. And it doesn't seem to be an easy fix. But having said that, I brought this matter to council because I listened to and acted upon requests made by the people in Lugano. It was important to give their concerns the attention they deserved, and I believe the appropriate step was to test the merit of those concerns through a feasibility assessment. I think the report highlights the importance of due diligence and assessing feasibility of public infrastructure before any decisions are made or projects are implemented. The feasibility study assessed 4 key areas: the level of community demand, feasible locations, a capital cost associated with constructing it, and the ongoing operational costs. The findings are now before us. What the report tells us that there is mixed community demand for infrastructure. 52% who responded to a consultation opposed the facility by 48% were in favour. Well, to my mind, it's 50-50, so it's kind of equal on both sides. Having said that, I do appreciate the reasons that Councillor Anzalotti is advancing tonight, because I've heard similar from other people, but both for and against. I understand there have been petitions and vocal advocacy for and against the proposal. However, what this process reinforces is the importance of formal community consultation, structured, transparent engagement where community members can freely and confidently express their views as they did in the Your Say process. The report also makes clear that some locations that may seem ideal for public amenities are in fact not feasible due to presence of other infrastructure such as underground Ausgrid cables and other service restrictions. In contrast, other locations are considered more suitable based on their proximity to existing services. It's also important to note that within our LGA, and I think this has been this is in the report, there are 47 local centre zones and only 5 have public amenities. All of them are located near train stations, which and it highlights the inclusion of public toilets in these zones is not standard practice. Should council choose to proceed, it could set a precedent for the centres that don't have them. But having said examples being Carwa Avenue shops in Cars Park and Odeon West shops, and could set a precedent, and those centres could be asking for similar, which I would disagree with. And as Councillor Anzalo's pointed out, I wouldn't use that as reason to deny them, but it does also point to the need for adequate consultation. So in closing, I want to thank the council staff for the work done in producing this thorough and balanced report and providing the facts and context to guide council decision-making process. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Marnie. Does anybody wish to speak against this item? Councillor Amahaba, do you wish to question?
Just have a question through you, Madam Mayor, to the Director. Just with paragraphs 45 and 46 around the costing associated, is it possible, I'm happy to take the question without notice and maybe respond later on, around the breakdown of that $80,000 per annum for materials and services just for 5 facilities?
To the Director.
Through you, Madam Mayor, that $80,000 for the existing 5 amenities is what we're paying as a contract fee. Because we're at capacity with our internal resources, those 5 amenities have been outsourced. If this was to go ahead, in my mind, that triggers another resource because it becomes more cost effective for us to manage that cleaning in-house. So you wouldn't manage just one because you'd be paying full totes on salaries and wages. But when you actually can then combine them up to that 6 point, it becomes more cost effective to bring that cleaning in-house. Yep.
Councillor Pun.
I had a further question, if you know. Just a question about the surveys. I think there was 5248 response. I'm curious because I think we seem to rely on them a little bit. I'm worried that if we're only doing online surveys, we're only capturing a portion of the community. And I just take note on Mr. Christou's written statement earlier tonight. You've got 500 residents who have apparently written in supporting it, and I'm just worried that these online surveys are not indicative of the community consultation that is actually out there and representative. So if there's some answer on how those surveys take place, I appreciate that.
I'm happy to add a comment to that after speaking with the Executive Manager of City Futures earlier tonight, and Mr. Stroud can add commentary to this if he likes. Council in the community consultation for the community strategic plan did host an on-site stall at Lugano, and staff were handing out information to residents in person on site at Lugano about the proposed toilet facility, and that is where our council's lead community engagement staff member actually had a 15-minute personal conversation with Mr. Christou about the toilets at that time. So I don't know if Mr. Stroud, would you like to add anything, or I've summarised that? Yeah, so I think council has consulted in ways beyond just the online survey. That is our way of collecting information, but people have the ability to write emails, they can write letters, they can provide feedback in libraries. So there are different ways that council make consultation available, which is all outlined in the community engagement policy. So I just caution the inference that there was only an online survey made available.
Can I just seek clarification? So you're saying that council went up to Shivers Hill Shops and did an online store, and the only reason why in person store, and Mr. Christou came out and spoke to council officers. It wasn't a matter of them walking into businesses and having one-on-one conversations with those businesses.
You can Mr. Manager, Executive Manager of City Futures is going to respond.
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. The consultation was a pop-up on site. Council officers spoke to a number of businesses. Some approached the pop-up outside. Others were approached inside their shops by the council officers, and the community in the same way, either approaching the pop-up or in and around.
Thank you, Mr. Stroud.
Madam Mayor, just a further comment based on Councillor Pun's question. I did note that the pop-up occurred on the 25th of November, which is a Monday. My understanding, unless Councillor Anzalotti has commentary around that, but on a Monday, the activity is also not indicative of the nature of the shopping strip.
Usually it's on a Saturday where it's very, very busy. I believe some of the cafes aren't actually open on a Monday. So I don't know whether it's a very true representation of, and I appreciate staff being there. Maybe moving forward, how we should be looking at surveying is looking at over a period of time, and it's not just for this site. If we want a genuine assessment of the community's needs and also what the businesses need, I think moving forward, this is more of a comment, Madam Mayor, but I don't think having a pop-up on the 25th of November, which is a Monday, is a good reflection of that site.
Okay, thank you. Take noted. Councillor Jamieson, do you have a question?
Yeah, question, comment, I guess. The other thing I was concerned, you're talking about genuine consultation. I did read the email that was sent, and it did imply that other people didn't have a right to have a say because they didn't fit a certain persona that agreed with them. The fact is, we had people speaking, and I think we have to accept the fact that people may not be supportive of it. And it's not just how we do it, because I can tell you, like, coming from different situations, when people really care, they actually put a submission. And it's not just petitions, it's submissions and making an effort.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. So if there's no further speakers, I'm going to put the motion, which is, so the amendment became the motion because Councillor Ambi Haber accepted that. So I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, and declare it carried. Next, we go to CCL 04625, detailed design for embankment reconstruction, Bridge Street, Penshurst. Budget update, Councillor Amber Haber.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've put the recommendation as outlined in the business papers.
Thank you. Councillor Arthur has seconded that. Any discussion, councillors? If not, I'll put the item. All those in favour say aye. All those against, declare it carried. We move on to notices of motion. The first is NM 03225. Congratulations to Annie So, Asia Pacific International Intangible Cultural Heritage Certification. Report by Deputy Mayor Councillor Liu.
Oh, thank you, Madam Mayor. I think, look at the...
Seconded by Councillor Dmowski.
Oh,
sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. I mean, when you look at the motion, it's pretty simple and straightforward. I do not need to read out. It's all printed on the screen. But the only thing I wanted to thank the manager, the executive manager for City Futures, to put his good ideas and his thoughts into this motion, because behind the food, I don't think it's simple like a meal that is in front of us. I think behind it is a kind of simple that represent who we are. So I recall Madam Mayor, when she was doing her condolences, talking about Margaret and Vegemite. Vegemite is a kind of iconic food in our Australian daily of life. It's really simple of who we are and the pride and of being Australia as Australian humour. I think Annie So, representing the two generations, put the food in front of most of the Cantonese or the Chinese people who came here in different generations, really represent the cultural and you know, represent who we are when we have the different food. So that's why when I've been invited to attend this ceremony to represent award being presented to Annie, I think about behind the scene it represents something even deep. So that's why I put everything together with the help from Kent, and I appreciate very much within the Directors Commons Council will take the efforts to contact with Annie So and really acknowledge her success by include a story in our Business Unite newsletter newsletter and promote these achievements through other media channels. Thank you for council to doing the effort to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Liu. Councillor Donosky, do you wish to speak for this motion? No. Anyone wishing to speak against? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare it carried. Next item is NM 03325, Lunar New Year celebrations. Deputy Mayor Liu.
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor.
And seconded again by Councillor Donosky. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. When we look at something already been printed on the screen, as what I said as my first motion, I do not need to read out because it's already there. You can read and understand why the meeting and the intention I wanted to put these things together. Firstly, that SBS, we all know that in support of Lunar New Year celebration, SBS has been our media sponsor for so many years. So that's why I think it deserves our acknowledgement and recognition of its ongoing support. And then when you recall the three public speakers who were delivering their speech at the beginning of this meeting, they're all representing different media outlets, but all coming from the Chinese background media industry. One is a TV station, one is a radio station, one is the very traditional printed newspaper. They've been dealing with collaborations with former Hurstville Council and with former corporate council in supporting of, we call it Chinese New Year celebration before, now we call it Lunar New Year celebration. I think to strengthen and to collaborate deeply with them, I think it is going to be promote more in more broader and more deeper strengths in the Chinese community. I know that for the Lunar New Year celebration, I think our reach number, it's the peak number that we have reached is 50,000 people in the day. Normally it's one of the Saturdays before or right before or right after the Lunar New Year, the right day. I think it's not, we are not only looking at the numbers. If looking at the numbers, we are already reached that high. It's not a number that we really want to achieve another 50,000 people, but it really a symbolic thing that represent our local community. So that's why I put this together in front of every councillor. Hope I can get your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Liu. Councillor Donosky, do you wish to speak for the item? No. Anyone wishing to speak against? If not, I'll put the item. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare it carried. Next is NM 03425, Hurstville Plaza Amenities Block. Councillor Wang.
Thank you.
And Councillor Pond's going to second that.
Thank you. So we're going to talk a lot about the toilets tonight. Yeah, so this Hurstville, so I was just thinking when we were listening for that block. So, but this one is even easier because it's already there. So I just don't want this to be closed. So the Hurstville Plaza toilet block. So this is for those who's not familiar, it's positioned just beneath the ramp from the Hurstville Plaza to the rooftop parking of Westfield. So it's in the center. It's the center of the center. Unfortunately, it was closed, but for legitimate reasons, vandalism, even files, drug use, and other antisocial behavior. So I absolutely support the professional investigation going on right now. So our staff must be safe, and we need clear facts on these damages and behaviors. So let the experts do their work. But where this happens, so we must acknowledge a really simple truth. shutting a public amenity is not a solution to antisocial behavior. If we close this plaza toilets, the same individual may simply move 100 meters to the other interchange toilets. So what do we do then? So the plaza toilets actually sits just the structure just below the ramp. It already have a natural shelter, say concrete. So that shelter could easily attract the same behavior. So people could do graffiti or do vandalism easy. So with or without the toilet closed. So by closing this one, the only difference is to publish. The only fact is to publish the families, shops, and the elders and young children, the victims, not the offenders. So to address the root cause, so we can do something different. For example, we can have a targeted law enforcement, regular visible patrols and CCTV, so the offenders know they will be watched. And we can have some early intervention and education youth program, and let the street young people just steal young people away from vandalism before it starts. And we could also use some design improvement. So there's some vandal resistant fittings, bad lighting, etc. So if we fail to keep adequate public toilets open in our business center, so it could damage Hurstville's reputation as a welcoming regional hub. Visitors will remember the day they couldn't find a toilet long after they forget which shop they visited. So this motion is actually quite simple. So we listen to the business and the residents and keep the prison clean where we investigate. And we can partner with the police to deter crime. And lastly, just produce a report with clear recommendations granted in facts. And hopefully from the report, we can also find out the methodology, so how many toilets are needed in each area. So yeah, colleagues, so public amenities are civic rights, not a luxury. So let's address the antisocial behavior with education and enforcement, not by removing the facilities for those who rely on them most. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wang. Councillor Jamieson, did you have a question?
So I did read the notes and it's talking about events. So does that mean that for events to be held, they need to provide toilets as well, or how do we mitigate that issue or deal with it?
To the Director of Community and Culture.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, on any event site, if there's not amenities in the vicinity that meet a certain capacity requirement, then it is the event organiser's responsibility to organise portaloos or amenity facilities.
Thank you. Councillor Pun, did you wish to speak for the motion?
Yes, please. I just wanted to note, I think we all know that Hurstville is the busiest suburb in our LGA, and we all know that, you know, a lot of the crime happens around Hurstville Westfield. It's only evident that you're going to get a lot more vandalism in that part of the LGA. So just take note that yes, there is vandalism. It is around Hurstville Westfield. It's commiserate with the amount of crime that we see. It's all logical. It's just that I think we're just going to have to, I want to support Councillor Wang, and I just think council just has to remind itself that, you know, of all the suburbs in this LGA, it's going to be one that's the most hardest to maintain. It's very different to, you know, Shivers Hill, and the amount of foot traffic we see coming in and out of Hurstville train stations, I think the largest in not just this LGA, but both the state and the federal electorates. So I think due consideration should be given to that. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pun. Do any councillors, Councillor Muddy, have a question or you wish to speak for or against? Sorry, Deputy Mayor Liu, I'll come to you next. Sorry, I didn't realise you had your one.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Couple of questions. Firstly, what are the opening and closing times of this facility?
I'll put that to the Director of
Thank you.
Assets and Infrastructure.
Through you, Madam Mayor, it does vary from public facility to public facility. In the Hurstville area, we have actually had to modify it on a number of occasions. Usually it's from dawn to dusk. With that particular toilet block, we've also trialled different closing times to try and get rid of the antisocial element. So we tried 5 o'clock, we tried 4 o'clock, we tried 3 o'clock. None of those seem to be a deterrent. So the answer is it does vary, and we can adjust them accordingly. None of those adjustments that we had made seem to have resolved that issue.
Councillor Marnie?
Just another question. The report says that homeless use that facility, which is quite alarming. What's the procedure when that happens? Does a charity get notified, or what happens there?
Do you want Christy? Director of Community and Culture?
Through you, Madam Mayor. We always try and encourage the public, if they see anyone that is homeless, to notify Wesley Mission, and if any reports come into council, that's what council officers do.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Lou, you have a question or?
Just question.
Question, yes.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to the Director, Christy Dodd. Because I had a brief meeting with the Mr. Dunstan, the commander from the St. George Pack this morning, and the 2 of his officers, 2 Matlocks in shops. I've been told that, I've been just a bit surprised. I've been told otherwise this morning. In one of the, I don't know which event, I wanted to ask the director, a very recent event at the Hurstville Plaza, one of their police officers been injured on her shoulder and went to the hospital to have the operation, and pretty seriously injured. I don't know what related to which public event at Hurstville Plaza. Can I be notified if you get in later?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I haven't been made aware of that incident, so I can reach out to Mr. Dunstan.
Yeah, hopefully it's nothing to do with the public toilet, because when we talk about that public toilet, I've been approached a couple of times. I've been even in person, went to the try to open the door. Sometimes the beddings and the blanket is still left in the toilet. It seems like overnight someone living in it. So that's why I've been approached by the public also, is that they been scared to use that. So hopefully within the whole investigation, that's a part of out of the whole thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Liu. Any councillors wishing to speak against? If not, I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against? I declare it carried. Next item is NM 03525. Congratulations, St. George Swim Club and Sans Souci Sea Devils Swim Club. Report by Councillor Mort. It's been seconded by Deputy Mayor Liu.
Okay, tonight the council writes to formally congratulate St. George Swim Club and Sans Souci Sea Devils Swim Club on their outstanding performances at the recent Australian Age Swimming Championships held in Brisbane. So I'll speak to it. Tonight we take the opportunity to acknowledge some truly outstanding achievements within our local community, with performances of 2 of the most dedicated and successful swim clubs, the St. George Swim Club and Sans Souci Sea Devils Swim Club, at the Australian Age and Open Championships in Brisbane. First, to St. George Swim Club, under excellent guidance of head coach Lockie Van Tempest and assistant head coach Sebastian Torales, they sent 10 athletes to the Australian Age Championships and 3 to the Australian Open Championships, showcasing remarkable depth. The team achieved numerous personal bests alongside notable top 10 finishes. Congratulations to Kelsey Corbett for placing 7th in the 14 years girls 100 metre backstroke. Will Daniels for his 9th place in the 14 years boys 50 metre breaststroke, and particularly to Roger Twee for his impressive 9th place in the 14 years multi-class 50-metre breaststroke at his very first national championships. Roger's success truly highlights the diversity and inclusivity proudly fostered within these clubs. At the Australian Championships, Florence Zhang, Lachlan Lau, Jessica Henderson all swam personal bests. And they achieved personal bests exceptionally well. A special mention to Lachlan Lau for making an impressive 5 finals in his multi-class events. In particular, gratifying to note, it's particularly gratifying to note that these 3 athletes have been developed and trained in Bexley programs since they were 11 years old, demonstrating success of our local initiatives in nurturing talent. I think I'm half asleep. So last one. So I just want to acknowledge St. Susie Sea Devils also. We acknowledge St. Susie Sea Devils Swim Club led by head coach Alex Shale. While a smaller team of 6 athletes at the Australian Age Championships and 3 at the Australian Open Championships, their performance was incredibly strong. The Sea Devils delivered a fantastic effort, achieving many personal bests. Congratulations to Alice Simsek for her 14th place in the girls' 15 years 200-metre breaststroke, Sienna Marsick for finishing 15th in the girls' 15 years 50-metre backstroke. This team has been developed and trained right out of St. Susie Cool. At the Australian Swimming Championships, Lily Taylor, Gabby Marmore and Edwin Gow swam incredibly well, achieving personal best times. Lily Taylor made the finals for the women's 200-metre freestyle. Gabby Marmore made the women's 200-metre backstroke final. Edwin, with 2 personal bests, is another excellent example of athletes developed and trained. Where's my other page? Through our local programs, specifically from the Hurstville, and he is specifically from the Hurstville Aquatic Centre since he was 12 years old. So overall, the results provide a great deal to celebrate for both clubs. They underscore the success of our local development programs, proving that we can cultivate swimmers from a young age, be they girls, boys, able-bodied or multi-class athletes, and support their journey all the way to competing at an open national level. This success is a testament to the swimmers' hard work, dedication and unwavering support of their families and the exceptional coaching. We commend both clubs on their outstanding achievements and their continued contribution to our community sporting excellence. Thank you. I hope you support our motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mort. Deputy Mayor Lou, would you like to speak? And congratulations to your daughter Florence, who is one of the swimmers representing St. George.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I did declare my interest of this one because firstly, personally, I'm one of the committee members of St. George Swim Club, and secondly, from the position as a mum, from one of the swimmers, but I can still stay and speak and try to support Councillor Mort's motion tonight, because when we talk about this topic, we're all getting, very inspiring, very exciting, because it's always a pleasant way to see how progressive those young kids are getting more mature. I know for the peak of the pyramid, I don't think I'm sure many of them in the end couldn't reach that peak, but that never stopped them from trying to pursue this best personal best and personal potential. I think that's the greatest of the sportsmanship. So that's why we always come back to congratulate those children's achievements. So that's why I'm so 100% support and show my support to Councillor Mott's motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Liu. Any councillors wishing to speak against? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, declare it carried. Next, we have NM 03625, Bembridge Street, Carlton, parking issues. Report by Councillor Gow.
So I move the motion. I move the motion, Madam Mayor, seconded by
Councillor Arthur. Thank you.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, this is from our last council's meeting where Councillor Stratokopoulos and yourself had moved to amend this motion. This is a big issue on Bembridge Street and affecting surrounding streets in Carlton. Illegal parking, double illegal parking really is an issue over there. I believe in education over penalisation at the first instance. Propose that council write to these residents in any shape, form of communication. A council can print it. I'll letterbox it. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Gall. Councillor Arthur, do you wish to speak for the motion? Anybody wishing to speak against the motion? Councillor Stratokopoulos.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As Councillor Gow just alluded to, I believe this matter was dealt with in the last council meeting. I believe the suggestion of letterbox dropping was put forward by Councillor Lansbury. And if memory serves me correctly, Councillor Gow suggested it to me. And so the matter's already been discussed. I mean, what we're looking at here is just I mean, I grew up in the era of tapes, and you could record something on the radio, and then you could play it, and then you could rewind it, and you could play it again. So, as I said, based on my recollection, this has been dealt with. I don't know why it's been brought up again. Very crafty though.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Councillor.
Councillor Stratokopoulos. Just to
Councillor Gow, sorry. Would you like to take your right of reply? Any other councillors wishing to speak against the motion? If not, if you would like to take your right of reply, please go ahead.
if you remember, if you recall, Councillor Stratokopoulos, I tried to propose this amendment, but Madam Mayor, you moved the meeting towards the next motion to deny my opportunity to propose this amendment. So therefore, I've put forward this motion at this council meeting.
Okay, let's put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against?
Yes.
Okay, we'll go around the room and take the votes.
Your vote, please, Madam Mayor.
Against.
Councillor Allison.
Yes.
Councillor Amby Haper. For. Councillor Anzalotti.
For.
Councillor Arthur.
For.
Councillor Demoski.
Against.
Councillor Gow.
For.
Councillor Jamison.
Against.
Councillor Lansbury.
For.
Councillor Liu.
Against.
Councillor Marnie.
Against.
Councillor Mort.
Against.
Councillor Pan.
For.
Councillor Stratokopoulos.
Clearly against.
Councillor Wang.
For.
8 votes against.
7 votes for.
I declare the motion lost. We move to NM 03725, impacts of compliant development certificates. Report by Councillor Lansbury. Seconded by Councillor Jamison.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Now I'm actually going to propose an amendment, which may well be on the screen. Basically, the motion is about complying development. I'm seeking a review of that, and the Mayor suggested a small amendment to include some educational awareness on private certifiers, and as I think complying development and private certifiers go hand in hand, I welcome adding this. So I'll just read it so that people can be aware of it. It's parts E and F. So part E at the end of this would be that council initiates an education and awareness campaign using its existing communication channels to inform the community about council's principal certifier and council responsibilities policy 2024 and council's private certifier webpage, which includes a link to the above policy along with detailed information and frequently asked questions explaining the roles and responsibilities of principal certifiers, Georges River Council, the New South Wales Building Commission, property owners and builders, as well as the complaint handling process when a private certifier is engaged. And part F, that council investigate options to make the identity of principal certifiers for a development readily accessible to the public. I'll talk about that in a minute, but what I first wanted to start with, I've actually got props tonight. I've got some photos that, if Ms. McKinley, if you could bring them up again, that would be great. Oh, yeah. What we're seeing here is at our last council meeting, we had a speaker in public forum who lives in Mortdale, who has a complying development going on next door to her. And that's actually, when you're looking at the photo on the left of the screen, that's actually a two-story element of her house, but that is the complying development right next door to her. She has lost all of her sunlight, all of her privacy. This overlooks her pool directly. In the photo to the right, that brick structure to the left of the photo is actually a cabana. Now, my definition of a cabana is something that provides shade next to a pool. There's no room for a pool. There's no landscaping on site. It's basically, I would say, 98% impervious area. And going back to the very early days of when I was at Cogra Council and we dealt with GAs a lot at council meetings, one of the really important things was that we had to have quite a large area of pervious area, which is where water can get through to the ground area. Impervious areas like concreting, things like that, paving, that the water can't get through and creates runoff and things like that. That would have to be about a 98, 99% impervious area, which is extraordinary to me. It's a complying development. Now, this particular resident has no recourse for this. There are no offsetting of the windows into her room that we see here on the left, no privacy in her pool area. Her house from the street looks like a cute little wood weatherboard cottage, but in fact, she cleverly designed it so that she's got 2 stories at the back, doesn't impact on her neighbours, stayed with the rest of the roof line in the street. She's lived there for 41 years and she's feeling like she's going to be driven out of her home because of this monstrosity that is being constructed next door to her. It's about 450 square metres, which is what the new LMR policy would provide capacity for 2 dual locks or a dual lock on that site, which is a lot of building for a very limited site. This particular photo on the right, you can see now that's viewed from the street, which means that it's almost 3 stories when viewed from the street. It's still under construction. There is no landscaping, there is no scope for landscaping on that site. I think that there might be a planter box at the front, and that's about it. Now, it beggars belief to me how something like this is considered a complying development. I'm quite sure if this came to council, it would have been amended greatly or rejected. It would have been in that pile because this is the problem, and I've said this before and I don't mind saying it again, that I believe that complying development is one of the tools of the devil because there is no recourse for those who are affected directly by it. According to the neighbour, whose pool is now being lost to all privacy and is totally overlooked by this dwelling next door, what was on that house next door originally was a little bungalow with lots of lovely big established trees that far exceeded the roof line. That's all been ripped out. So therefore that has greatly impacted on the tree canopy in that street. And, we're aiming in Georges River for a 40% tree canopy by 2038. We are nowhere near going to get that. We can't possibly get that. I think we're sitting, and I stand to be corrected, at about 23%, and we're not growing, we're reducing. And voila, Exhibit A. This is why our tree canopy is reducing, because all of the established trees and landscaping in properties like that are being ripped out and concreted and bricked in cabanas where there's no pool. So I don't know why it's even called a cabana, but anyway. Further up the street, there are a number of other types of dual locks which have been done quite tastefully and with far less impact on the streetscape and on their neighbouring properties. Something like this should never be ticked off by a private certifier without council's oversight, and council has no recourse under the current system. So that's why I'm asking for a review. We've been agitating for these sorts of things for very many years. I think the first time I put something up, which is in the first term of Georges River in 2018, a number of things about private certification and complying development in various different forms. But it's time we actually push back on some of this sort of development. I'm all for well done development, and I don't really have a problem with dual locks. I think that they're quite a neat solution to increasing density when they're not overshadowing and impacting properties like this. And there'll be something similar to the back of her property as well, because she got letterbox the day of the last council meeting to say that there is something going on at the back of her. Now, there are always solutions to problems, and I can tell you, going back again to the good old days of the People's Republic of Cogra, we ended up introducing a method of notifying, letterbox notifying rather than to the owners. Oh, thank you. I won't be too much longer. I'm a renter, and I was living in a house in Moyes Avenue in Carlton. It was a great house. People next door bought the house, redeveloped it. I had no idea what they were building. I walked down into my kitchen one day in my pajamas first thing in the morning, and the man next door waved at me from his lounge room because his windows looked directly into our kitchen. So for the rest of the time that we lived there, for the next 5 or 6 years, our blinds were always at half mast because we totally lost privacy. And that was one of the catalysts for us to say, okay, well, people need to know what's going on. You need to offset windows so you're not impacting on privacy. And that was one of the things that we always dealt with when we dealt with DAs at council, was the privacy issue. And everyone who's been around for long enough will remember that people don't want to have someone's window looking into their daughter's bedroom. Like, you just don't want that. This is actually their, it's not a bedroom there on that side, but it's one of the rooms that they used all the time, and they have zero privacy now or sunlight. It's outrageous. We need to lobby to try and change this system so that we can stop this sort of development, destroying the amenity of our existing neighbours. As I said, this particular resident has lived in this house for 41 years and now feels like that all of the quality of life that she's built for her and her family has been compromised because this development is going on next door to her. So look, I'll leave it there. Councillors, the private certification bit that we added, courtesy of the mayor, kind of speaks for itself. But I just sort of seek your support because, you know, we are going to be under a lot of pressure to increase our densities, whether we have to do it under LMR. That's one saving grace. Complying development doesn't fall in under LMR. That will go through the normal GA process. But the proliferation of these types of developments, we need greater oversight over. And the points that I've outlined there are the things that I really believe need to be addressed. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lansbury. Councillor Jamieson, just first of all, do you accept the proposed amendment as the seconder? Okay, and do you wish to speak for this motion?
Thank you. Deb Backey actually asked me to speak because she couldn't speak and didn't register, but I think you've done a great job. But I guess going back to the CDCs and the certifiers, and Deb Backey wouldn't mind me saying that she had such a terrible experience with her mother where she was actually, not just this one, private certifier did not monitor it. The builder billed in her mother so that she could not wheelchair herself out of the house. That is how bad it is. It takes people, like, nobody seems to care. It's basically a green light. There's no control. It goes crazy. And I went back through the list of people that we did when we did our workshops, and we've forgotten. I've just checked the website that 2nd of August we had a favourable response from the Department of Planning, and since then it's just gone haywire and nothing sort of weak response, they said, since the 9th of October. So it's probably very timely to restart agitating again. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jamieson. Any councillors wishing to speak against or a question?
Anyone again?
No, go ahead, Councillor Amber.
Just a question. In light of the Minister Scully's letter around the action plan around DAs, and I'm bringing this question up only because from personal experience recently, I've tried to consider doing an extension at the back of the house, and we had different people come in, and some of the things that builders are saying to me, it's quicker and easier going through a CDC rather than a DA. And that's also something to be, I don't know, that's something I'd like to get a bit of an update how we're going with that particular action plan.
To the director?
through Madam Mayor and councillors. In terms of the update for the action plan, councillors would have received version 1 of the council information bulletin a couple of weeks back. There's another one coming next week, and more formally, it'll go to the June Planning Committee. We'll get a little bit more detailed in that formal sense, which gives a lot more public transparency to what we're doing. That's the program for an update.
And in response to the question, is a CDC faster than a TA? I think that's
well, I don't think you get a yes or no from the plan director. To be fair, I'm really pleased you're seeking advice. Is what I tell any applicant: get advice from the experts in that area and listen to that. So by articulating what you want in terms of what you've done to your house, they'll give you the ultimately best way to go through. And CDC, I don't know what you're trying to do in terms of extension, whether it's the one that was just depicted by Councillor Lansbury or not. The CDC is there really originally designed to enable easy halts and adds to go through in a much faster manner than a full development assessment process. So arguably that advice is not wrong.
Thank you. Any further questions? No. Okay. Sorry, Councillor Punn.
Sorry, if you don't mind. I know that you've got the independent expert coming in from the Minister for Planning in that letter. I was just wondering if there's any connection, if they can be, you've got the rights to the Minister for Planning and Public Spaces with respect to a review. I'm sure that's something that you could possibly ask them to be involved in, given that they're, I think it's one in the same topic.
Councillor Punn, I think what is being asked for by Councillor Lansbury in this motion is a change to legislation that governs the way compliant development certificates are managed, and I'll put it to the Director.
I don't know.
Comment to that. I don't think this motion is in any way connected to our action plan or our DA assessment timeframes, but I'll happily stand corrected.
Yeah, Madam Mayor and Council, just a bit more detail on that. When the Minister offers up the panel of appointments, there'll be an agreement as to what they do. Compliant development certification and issues around that is unlikely to be part of it. But however, if the opportunity arises, I'm more than happy to broach it. It's a very relevant issue. Yeah.
Councillor Anzalone?
Yeah, it's more just a comment to what Councillor Punn said and what Councillor Amber Haber has said. Residents are telling us that they are lodging compliant development certificates because it's taking them too long to get DAs approved.
And that is what compliant development certificates are designed for, I think, is the point. They're designed to be a fast track way. So if you, as long as you tick all the boxes, you're going to sail through. If you submit a development application because you want to have some variation from the regulations.
True, but what Councillor Lansbury has pointed out is that there's a flaw in the system which needs to be addressed from both ends, both local government and how DAs are processed internally, and also what's happening at the higher level with the compliant developments.
Absolutely, I think that's the intent of Councillor Lansbury's motion, is that it's a state government SEP that governs compliance development certificates, and that's what she's seeking amendments to. There being no further speakers, I'm going to put this motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare it carried. Next item is NM 03825, Waste Collection Services. Councillor Gow.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I move the motion. Call for a seconder.
Councillor Amber Haber, I second that.
So I move that the council acknowledges the widespread disruption and community concern caused by the ongoing issues with waste collection since the transition to the new contract. Notes that numerous residents across the LGA, particularly those in unit blocks and strata complexes, have experienced missed or significantly delayed bin collections, sometimes for up to 3 weeks. Commits to enforcing the terms of the waste contract with respect to contractual penalties for substantiated service failures. Prepares a report to council confidential if required for contractual reasons, outlining number 1, the total number of substantiated missed or delayed bin collections since the start of the new contract. 2, the number and value of any penalties or deductions applied to the waste contractor to date. And 3, feasibility, if at all possible, of providing affected residents with compensation or rate relief using these recovered funds. Madam Mayor, there is no greater responsibility of this council, of any council, than waste collection. I think for any of us to think otherwise is an absolute insult to the ratepayers and the residents who elected us here in the first place. If council can't get waste collection right, how can the community trust the current council with anything more complex or more logical? It's not politics, it's common sense. If a service or product was not delivered properly or not served on time, you'd expect some form of a refund or compensation. So in this instance, this motion serves to the very least to hold this contractor accountable for the disaster that has occurred over the last 3 months.
Thank you, Councillor Gown. Councillor Stratikopoulos.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If it pleases the council, I'd like to put forward an amendment to the motion. I believe it's up on the screen. Thank you. The amendment reads as follows: that Council A commits to enforcing the terms of the waste contract with respect to contractual penalties for substantiated service failures. B, prepares a report to Council, confidential if required for contractual reasons, outlining Part 1, the total number of substantiated missed or delayed bin collections since the start of the new contract. Part 2, the number and value of any penalties or deductions applied to the waste contractor to date. And Part 3, the feasibility, if at all possible, of providing affected residents with compensation or rate relief using those recovered funds. Also, Part 4, the Council consult with Bayside Council, its joint partner in the waste contract, to understand how the ramifications of the waste changes compare between Bayside Council and Georges River Council. Thank you.
Councillor Gow, do you accept that amendment?
I accept that amendment, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Gow. Councillor Amber as the seconder, do you accept that amendment?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Okay, so the amendment becomes the motion. Any councillors wishing to speak against the motion?
Sorry, I'm not going to speak against it, but can I ask a question?
Sure.
Can you just scroll up to that last point, or scroll down, I should say, that council consult with Bayside Council, its joint partner in waste contract, to understand how the ramifications of the waste compared to the why? What's that going to prove? What's the logic behind that? Can I ask that, Councillor Stratikopoulos?
I think it's a joint contract between the two councils. So it's just to understand, are they experiencing the same missed services? How does the impact on Georges River compare to the impact that's occurring in Bayside Council when it's the same contractor working under the same contract conditions? So it's just to try to understand if we're experiencing the same things as them.
And what if what Georges River is experiencing is unique to what Bayside has been experiencing? What
we'll find out with Part C included in the motion. I don't know the answer. I don't think any of us do. Any other Councillor Amber Hagan, do you wish to speak for this motion? No. Anyone wishing to speak against? Councillor Wang, you wishing to speak against?
Yeah, I have a question. No, I'm not against. I'm supporting it, but I have a question. So because in the comments it says 99% of schedule is good on time, but that's not my personal experience. I just want to ask what this 99% data, where does it come from? I tell my personal experience. So myself, my home rubbish was not collected twice for the.
So 99% means that 1% were affected. So perhaps you were one of the 1%. That's all that I could answer.
I'm not the only one. So there's
1% of 150,000 residents.
Okay, so I just question that. So the other business in Hurstville, at the corner of Humphreys Lane and Hudson Street. So that one I reported as a black spot a few years ago.
I think Councillor Wang, Council is not here denying that there has not been any implications or missed services through the waste collection transition. We've acknowledged that. We've acknowledged that in previous meetings.
Yeah.
So the report doesn't state there's been no miscollections. Council verbally have not made that statement. Council have apologised publicly to the community for the miscollections that have taken place.
I know.
So your experience is probably true and no one is denying that. We are acknowledged, council has publicly acknowledged that the transition has been challenging and our staff are working very hard with the contractor every single day to come to a resolution on those issues.
So I'm just questioning the number, 99% the number. I'm not saying.
So the number is as reported. It's reported on the facts. So the council has not reported an incorrect number. We've provided a correct number in the report.
I question that.
You
I
question that.
number because for like 5 or 7.
Don't believe the report provided by the council officers.
Let me finish, please. So for 7 businesses along Forest Road at the corner of Humphrey Street and Hardison Street, they're missing for the past month or so. They're missing 100%. I submitted this for the past month. It's on in the record to pick up. Some of them not pick it up for 2 weeks. So that I started this 99% number. For them, it's 100% missing. As I just want to.
I thought the question that the director provided response.
Madam Mayor and councillors, the 99%, over the period of the transition, it's a month. So you're talking hundreds of thousands of services delivered. It's not just one point in time. I agree. If you are affected, it's 100%. Absolutely, we get out there and address the issue as soon as we can. And that hasn't been always the case. And we've heard about that. And I've asked you to tell me, and I appreciate that you have. But the 99% metric represents a period of time where we are constantly delivering hundreds of thousands of services. And so the report quite rightly asked to detail substantiators. Misses or failures, so you're going to see a lot more visibility on what that actually looks like. The whole volume of services over a certain period, we'll be pretty open about it, and it will dial down to less than 1%. It's still quite a big number over a month, though.
Okay.
We have.
So my question is there a way we can verify if this 99% is the right number? That's my question, because it's not my personal experience.
Well, the report will do most of the heavy lifting for that. I can't speak to individual personal experiences.
What's the source of this? Where does it come from? From the contractor or from our council's staff?
It's essentially a combination, but because the trucks are now equipped with technology, there's not much that we miss. So when something's missed, it gets reported, and we'll explain how that happens. But when something goes successfully, equally it adds up because there's vehicles with lots of technology essentially are showing that the service is being provided for 99.whatever% over a period of time.
So sorry, there's a follow-up question. Have we replaced all the rubbish bins with the latest technology?
I can answer that because I did an interview on it today. Council's 115% through the schedule. We're 50% completed on the bin replacement program.
Okay, so that may explain some of them may not be tracked.
So once we're 100% implemented with the bin replacement, the staff are going to be able to provide you with absolute clarity the number of missed collections. You can appreciate that whilst we haven't got the technology in all the bins, that's going to be a combination of them pulling information together.
Yeah, understood. Agree.
Councillor Arthur is next. Councillor Wang, if you could please turn your microphone off.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a question. I think I'm probably going to retread some of the ground that Councillor Wang has just gone through. But I think I know I've had a lot of people write to me saying their bins have been missed. I know lots of councils in the room have had that. I think if I could ask the director, could the methodology for how we land on that 99% number be included in the report? I'm assuming it will be based on your answers, but if that could just be clarified. Because I think the 99% doesn't feel right when I look at it, but if you show me the number and say this is how we get there, fair enough.
Madam Mayor, councillors, if you'd like the methodology, then I'd suggest you put it explicitly in the resolution. And we'll address that quite happily. Just the avoidance of any doubt.
So the total number of substantiated missed or delayed bin collections since the start of the new contract and the methodology of how that number and the associated methodology after the word contract in part B2. Councillor Gowrie, are you happy to add that to the so in B2 after the word contract? B1, sorry, yeah, and the associated methodology. Councillor Gall accepts that, and Councillor Amber Abraham as the seconder. Yep. And Councillor Pun.
Oh, I think it's just a question in follow-up, just to assist my fellow councillors. I was going to ask about the methodology, and I think an example is I'm aware of a street in South Hurstville in which it wasn't recognised by the system that there were two sides to the unit. And I think it's these sort of planning errors that may not work into the report on face value, but it may not be obvious that in the old system you had two sides to one apartment block, which was on one address in the map, but you actually got bins on both sides. And I think I acknowledge council staff and all the resources that put into trying to fix what's happened. And I get that, and I don't want to make that the issue. It's just that I just wanted council to also acknowledge that there is complexity when you move from one system to another. Having worked in the space before, complex IT migrations can always be, about the integrity of the data and how accurate it is. And you can stress that, test that if you're matching the residents' complaints against the bins that are actually being picked up. And so I also wonder, when you're doing the report and you're looking at the methodology, are you matching? I'm assuming you're using the QR and the barcode scanners to figure out which bins, but are you matching them back against the residents' complaints on Log It Fix It? And I think that's sort of teasing out what Councillor Arthur was trying to say. So I hope that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the director is saying that the bins have not fully rolled out. My plea to you as councillors representing Georges River Council is to help communicate to the community that we are in a transition phase. We are facing the biggest changes to waste in 16 years and 18 years in this local government area. There are teething problems. People are experiencing them. We are not denying that, and we're asking for the residents to be patient and to work with us and the staff to resolve it. And we're working with the contractor to hold them to account to the conditions of the contract that the staff have negotiated over 2 to 3 years, to put provisions into that contract that protect our residents, that help us to protect us over early collections, to identify if there's miscollections. My ask to councillors is to help tell the story about how the new bins are going to help improve the services to your community, rather than continually inflaming the anxiety of residents that this is an absolute nightmare and is never going to improve. It is going to be improved. When the bins are fully rolled out, the system is going to be much better. And I ask you to help support council. Councillor Gall, please withdraw your statement. Please withdraw your statement, Councillor Gall, because council is not taking in action. We have taken huge action. I'm going to please request you to withdraw that statement. He's claiming that council have inaction on the bin waste collection issue. Please, can I ask you to withdraw the statement?
On behalf of
Deputy Mayor Lou, can you please turn your microphone off?
Madam Mayor, I'm only speaking on behalf of the thousands of residents who have experienced these problems. You keep alluding that only 1%
I'm not
of the entire
saying that at all,
have been
Councillor
affected by
I'm
this
asking you
issue.
to please
I'm
withdraw
asking
the
you a question.
statement
I'm asking you a
that
question.
council has taken in action, and if not, I'm going to ask you to leave the meeting. So could you please withdraw the statement?
I withdraw the statement.
Thank you. So again, I will please encourage councillors to please speak positively about that these changes will improve over time, and there are transitional issues, and we seek your support to help explain that to the community, rather than continually to inflame the community over the issues as they're occurring. Thank you. I'm going to put the motion now that's being moved by Councillor Gall and seconded by Councillor Amber Haber. Councillor Anzalone.
Can I just make a comment? I think we're all here for the right reasons, and we all do on a ground level go out and support the work that everybody does here in this building. But when residents ask when their new bins are going to get replaced, because no information has been when their old bins are going to get replaced, and I don't have that information to give them, and they don't know. So that there has been
the community,
and we're 2 months into the changeover. When did the bin start to change over?
And it's a 4-month process. It started in March and it's finishing in July. I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour of the motion say aye. All those against, I declare it carried. We move on to NM 03925, Derby Street Car Park, Cogra. Councillor Gower.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. So I move that. Do you want to call for a seconder, Madam Mayor?
If you would like to move the motion, then I will seek a seconder.
So I am moving this motion, Madam Mayor.
And if I can get a seconder, Councillor Pun, thank you. You may speak to the motion.
So I move that council commence work to explore the implementation of a subsidised parking scheme at the Derby Street car park in Cogra to allow health workers to park at no cost between non-busy periods at between 6 a.m. and approximately 9 a.m. On weekdays. We will know here that there is a severe lack of parking, especially in the Cogra town centre and the Cogra precinct. We have real parking issues there. And when you've got a council car park with hundreds of spaces that is left vacant per se between 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock during non-busy periods, I think we can allow our health workers, our local health workers who are commuting to St George Hospital, to St George Private Hospital to look after our sick, the ability to park for free when it is not busy, when there are no occupied spots in the car park. This is not just about looking after our health workers who look after our most vulnerable here in our community. This is also about alleviating the severe parking pressures on our streets and somewhat subsidising that and for council to play a part in this. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Gale. Councillor Pun, do you wish to speak to this motion?
Right,
You reserve your right. Anyone wishing to speak against? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, declare it carried. Next is NM 04025, report for displaced businesses and not-for-profits resulting from developments.
Yeah.
Councillor Wang.
Yes, motion.
Seconded by Councillor Pun.
Thank you. So, thank you, Madam Mayor and the fellow councillors. Hurstville is a very vibrant community and very busy with families, small business, and community organizations. We strive side by side. So, however, we are now facing a significant challenge together. 3 major construction sites are progressing simultaneously, with 2 located directly opposite each other on the main forest road, and all in very close proximity. So the redevelopment of 1 to 3 Wright Street and the 108 to 124 Forest Road present a special challenge. So this building covers over 5,000 square meters in the heart of school and the residential area, and it will start from July 2025. So I think you have just heard from the public speakers. So this construction will display long-standing non-for-profit groups that serves our most vulnerable residents, and also impose cumulative traffic noise and safe impact on neighbors, local traders, and of greatest concern to me, the 1,010 students of Hurstville Public School who cross Wright Street up to 4 times a day. So the motion before you is therefore very practical, community-driven, and aligns squarely with the advice supplied by the director. So it seeks 5 outcomes. First, we have asked the council to assess the council-managed facilities and assist the charity and cultural associations currently located on the development site. So our community leasing and the licensing policy already provide a clear framework. So tonight, I simply seek to activate it quickly and fairly. And second, the motion asks the offices to bring every developer to the same table, together with the representatives from compliance, traffic, and the transport, parking, and the rangers. One coordinated discussion early in the construction program is far more efficient than responding piecemeal once problem has materialized. And third, we request that the lead developer provide 30 days notice of disruptive works instead of statutory 5 working days. So that extra time would let the small business adjust rosters, allow families to plan safe school drop-offs, and give council an opportunity to communicate in both English and community languages, reflecting the local demographic. And fourthly, so we embedded the Hurstville School precinct traffic study in the site management. Parents has told us in writing that they need supervise the crossing, clear fencing, and if possible, temporary 40K limit during school hours. And construction traffic schedule outside the drop-off and pick-up peaks. And single point of contact to escalate the issue quickly. And lastly, sorry, I have an amendment we put up there. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Yes. The lastly is to ask the project update publish the council's website and the USA platform, and the community feedback be sought during the construction phase. Let me conclude with the director's comments. Cumulative impact from concurrent construction sites will impact local community, and it will be prudent for council to engage with the relevant developers at the outset. The outset is now. Thank you for your support.
Sorry, Councillor, when you're adding item E and F, are you, from what was published in the report? Is that right? Because I didn't realise that you had moved this with an amendment. In the report, there's A, B, C, and D, and have I got not the right? Sorry, so the report is published with A, B, C, and D, and we have A, B, C, D, E, F on the screen. So F is getting removed, is it? Okay. And so you're adding an amendment that ensure that updated project information is published on council's website and your St. George's River platform, and seek community feedback during construction phases. Okay, I'm going to put a question to the director. Is this in relation to a development site that we're proposing to put a Your Say page?
Yeah. Madam Mayor and Council, as I understand it, the Your Say page with details around the project itself. So construction management will have envisaged putting a construction management plan on there, maybe conditions of consent, maybe work permit, and then detail about how the community would contact relevant enforcement staff or rangers, for example. Maybe the police gets out of hand, but it's a one page that you update maybe every couple of months. I was talking to Councillor Wang. It's not the case that we can update it regularly. We're not resourced necessarily to do that, but for a one page sort of outcome, that's something that's achievable.
I just have a question in relation to the precedent it would set. I don't believe we do this for any other development sites. Is that correct?
Oh, sorry. Madam Mayor, Council, yes, we don't do this for other development sites that I understand. And yeah.
Okay. On that basis, I won't support option E to be included, because I think it sets a bad precedent that we're making a new communication avenue available for one-off developments that is not a standard process that council would follow for other developments. So I'll speak against it, adding of item E.
If I could make a comment in support of Councillor Wang. Yeah. I was there when Councillor Wang attended the Hurstville Public School traffic study meeting, and I think that the basis for Councillor Lang's suggestion here is just to give the community an avenue in which they can understand. And sorry, benefit. I think I am conflating two different ideas, but it's just another avenue in which the community understands what is happening in respect of the new traffic study implementation. So whether there's a new crossing or a new route for school kids to move, they're both, you know, I think Hurstville, the Hurstville School Precinct is one of the largest in the LGNA, if not the state electorate. I know Hurstville Public School is overcrowded. There's just so many people there. There's been 2 reports that I'm aware of back from 2017 and now this year's one. We all know what happened a couple of years ago with the poor boy who was unfortunately killed outside Hurstville Public. And I'm just cautious that there are a couple of major developments in Hurstville, and that's great. Fantastic. You know, I support whatever's going on there. And the ambit of Councillor Wang's motion is just to ensure that there's a bit of coordination and communication in between all the stakeholders. I think that is simply what he's asking for. And just funnel that onto something that's public, noting that the community around Hurstville is a bit different in how they consume news and information. They may not all be geared up on the same avenues that we're all used to. And hopefully that's what I'm trying to convey on his behalf.
Can I propose, because I don't think we should be setting a precedent of creating Yorso pages for development when Cogra Public School have been screaming for years about the impacts of the development and the compliance up there for years on the same issue, and they're getting built out, and we haven't done that. Can I propose that you amend item E instead of that the updated public information is published on Council's Yorso, that it's published on Council's public notices page. So there can be a public notice published, but it's not the formal Yorso consultation page, because I think that would be setting a wrong expectation.
Yeah. So I accept that one.
Okay.
So we can have we have a public page just to notify.
Public notices, and you can then send that out to interested people.
Maybe with a diagram, say, okay, this is going on, just pay attention. So that's what all I'm after. Just
I would support it then on the public notices page.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so we have had speakers for Councillor Wang and Councillor Pan. Anybody wishing to speak against? Any other discussion? If not, I'll put the motion. Councillor Deputy Mayor Liu, have a question?
Yes, just a question. In principle, I support the point A, but through you, Madam Mayor, to the Director, in practically how these points can help the NFP organizations, because according to my understanding, at the moment, the council's community leasing and licensing policy is already in place, and the EOI system is already in place. How this point A, help practically the current situation? Thank you.
Put that to the Director of Community and Culture.
Through you, Madam Mayor, it can't. So the policy is there for a reason, and when properties become available, all people that are on that list, there's currently 4, will get notification that there's a vacant property, and they can then visit that property and submit an expression of interest.
Oh, thank you. So that's where my question is coming from. I think in the area we have, I think, many those for profit organizations. I think that they are all being treated. They should be all be treated fairly and all on the same platform. So that's why I'm asking that question. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Liu. If there's no further speakers, I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare it carried. We come to NM 04125, support for Hurstville Zagreb Football Club, facility and field improvements at Cars Park. Councillor Dmowski. And that's seconded by Councillor Mort. Yeah. Please go ahead, Councillor Dmowski.
Madam Mayor, I have met with the group from Hurstville Zagreb on a couple of occasions, and last Saturday we had the pleasure of welcoming the Madam Mayor on site. I must say I was impressed by the new committee members. They are very passionate, keen, eager, and are doing a fantastic job in trying to take the club in the next level. This club shares its fields and some of the amenities with other groups, including the cricket team, touch football, local schools, the general community, and San Suzy FC. There are 440 registered players, of which 140 are women. These numbers continue to grow, and both the club and the broader community are proud to be part of the positive momentum in increasing the female participation in football. Unfortunately, the amenities are very old, in disrepair, and no longer adequate for or safe for the club's current needs. The conditions are somewhat substandard for this part of the world. The toilets are in disrepair and taps are leaking. Committee members often do these repairs by themselves. When the hot water tap is turned on in the canteen, the main power circuit switches off. The roof is leaking throughout the building and often damages their sporting equipment. The toilets are in disrepair. There's no women's change rooms, and they often take turns in the only changing room that they have for safety reasons. There's no storage, and a temporary storage container has been denied, while as they report, just on the other side at Todd's Park, there's a storage containers for those sporting groups. Further to that sporting field, the sporting field is full of wild grass that pose a safety issue to the players. Lastly, the new committee members are eager to contribute to the advancement of the club and are committed to be working collaboratively with Georges River Council to overcome these issues.
Thank you, Councillor
Thank you.
Kaminski. Councillor Moore, do you wish to speak on the item? No? Anybody else wishing to speak? Councillor Lansbury?
I would like to add a few words to that. Thank you to Councillor Jamalski for bringing this to us. This is one of the last, I think, amenities buildings at Zagreb that needs to be upgraded. That one and Cobra Cougars, which we've already got a plan for that. I do recall in the first time of Georges River Council, we installed a container over to support Cobra Cougars over in Todd Park because they had similar problems to Zagreb. They're probably the same vintage, the buildings, and consideration could be given. I know it's not visually appealing, but just a small container or a small storage unit that would help alleviate some of the problems that they do have with the current clubhouse would be good, and it is a very aging facility. The toilets are pretty run down. It's been very well used, and there has been a few bits and pieces that have enhanced that particular facility. But I think, you know, as I said, this is one of the remaining facilities that that we do need to upgrade. There've been some wonderful upgrades for other clubs. You know, Connells Point got the Roll Gold upgrade at Poulton, and you know, Charles Peary with Cars Park, they got theirs, and Renown's had theirs, and there's been not just in Blakehurst Ward but farther afield in Gannons, there's been a lot of upgrades, and there are under a few more under on the list to get done. The big AFL facility at Olds Park comes to mind as well. But I just think it's important that these clubs don't get left behind. Zagreb does also have access to Penshurst facility as well for their senior teams because they play at the higher level. But it is an older established club that's been playing there for as long as I remember. You know, back in the days of Cobra, they've had use of the field. They also do cop the raw end of it a bit when there is an event down at Cars Park and there's parking on the field. It does actually damage the field. So, you know, those things all do need to be considered. But I mean, just to support Councillor Jamalski's motion here, if consideration could be given to some sort of short-term storage to help them. Obviously, the plan of management is going out for the area, and we could possibly get this on the capital works list down the track. But I think, you know, we need to not leave any of our sporting clubs behind. It's only fair that they're included.
Thank you, Councillor Lansbury. Any other councillors wishing to speak against? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, declare it carried. We move to questions with notice. The first one is QWN 01425, flood study Beverly Hills. Councillor Wang, do you have any further questions?
Yes, I have. Thank you, Madam Mayor. So over the past 7 years, the Beverly Hills Master Plan has aimed to revitalize the suburbs through the series.
Sorry, Councillor Wang, is it a question? Because we're not speaking for questions with notice, it's just a question.
Yeah,
please.
this is the opening.
So if you could ask the question.
Yeah. Okay. So I just give you the background. The including early flood study.
Just put your question to the director if you could, please, because it's not a notice of motion, it's a question with notice, and as you know, we don't speak to questions with notice. Well, the opportunity is to ask a question. Okay, well, if you can ask the question, please, Councillor Wang.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So the newly released flood study and the draft recommendations now introduce new constraints, and that will effectively sterilize the core area of the master plan on both sides of King George Road. So this raises a series of questions. So first, how many proposed developments have been lost as a result of applying the latest flood study and its associated recommendations? And second, should we now consider substantially increasing the planning density in areas outside the newly defined flood planning zone to offset the loss in the master plan? The third, the 2023 flood report contains a disclaimer stating that it cannot be used to definitely determine whether a property is flood affected without a registered survey's assessment. Given that, how much weight should the council place on this study when making planning decisions? The fourth one, what are the likely impact on the property values and insurance premiums for Beverly Hills residents if this flood report is formally adopted and applied to the master plan, the MMR, and the planning proposal? So I have found this official statement from IAG saying IAG flood risk data set can inform insurance choices based on risk probabilities. It uses a combination of IAG modeling, industry source data, and local and state government data. Yeah, thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you, Councillor Wang. I understand you've submitted those questions to the director, and they'll probably be published with the questions with no notice next month. So next question with notice is QWN 01525, bus zone, 310 Forest Road, Hurstville. Councillor Wang, any further questions?
Yes, this will be very brief. So given the site is no longer actively used for passengers service and instead is functioning as a rest stop, so what criteria does the Transport of New South Wales use to justify maintaining a bus zone on a high demand commercial frontage for rest stops, particularly when a designated interchange area exists just around the corner, literally around the corner?
I'll put that question to the Director of Assets and Infrastructure.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I'll take that question on notice. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll send this to Andrew already as well. So the second question is really how do we engage the bus company and the TFSW to seek further progress? Because now the council probably is outside out of the council's hand. Yeah.
From attending the traffic committee, I understand that this was put by the staff to Transport for New South Wales, and it was Transport for New South Wales who have requested it that it remain as a bus stop. That was their response from the Transport for New South Wales representative in the committee.
So my question, how we can pursue it further? That's all. Okay.
Would the director like to provide a response?
Yeah, on that one, through you, Madam Mayor, we will continue to raise this through the traffic committee. We've also established contacts with the bus company as well, so we'll continue to pursue it through those contacts directly with the bus company.
Thank you very much.
And we have questions with no notice, which is QNN 00125, which is a response to question of notice 01225 and question of notice 01325, which was raised at the Traffic Advisory Committee on Wednesday the 7th of May, and the answer is published in the business paper for that one. Okay, councillors, at this stage of the meeting, the time being 10:24 p.m, I hereby advise that the meeting will move into a closed confidential session to allow consideration of a matter in closed session in accordance with Section 10A of the Local Government Act 1993. This action is being taken to allow discussion of the following items: CCL 022A25 Tree Matter Mortdale. Procedure to move into the closed session is accordingly members of the press and public are excluded from the closed session, and access to the correspondence and reports relating to the item considered during the course of the closed session will be withheld. I ask the General Manager, Mr. Tuxford, whether any representations have been received from the public that the item should not be discussed in closed session.
No, Madam Mayor, there hasn't.
Okay. If I could ask if the public gallery, if there are any objections on the reasons for moving into a closed confidential session. No. Thank you for attending and staying tonight. See you later. And I will, we need a procedural motion to move into a closed confidential session. So Councillor Jamieson has moved that. I think for procedural motion, we don't need a seconder. So the motion is that in accordance with Section 10A, Clause 2 of the Local Government Act 1993, Council enter into closed session to discuss the item. Moved by Councillor Jamieson. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. All those against, declare it carried. For the members of the press and public, live streaming will cease and resume following the confidential session of council. Once the items are addressed, the meeting will reopen to the public and the recommendations from the closed session will be confirmed. We will then deal with the remaining items on the agenda if there are any remaining items. If we could please cease the We're back. Okay. So we are now back in open council, and if I could ask the staff to please display the recommendations of the closed confidential session on the screen, and if I could call for a motion to confirm the recommendation from the closed session, Councillor Jamieson, and seconded by Councillor Stratokopoulos. The motion is that the recommendation for the items considered in closed session in relation to CCL 022A25 Tree Matter Mortdale be received and noted as a resolution of council without any alteration or amendment thereto. Moved by Councillor Jamieson, seconded by Councillor Stratokopoulos. Any discussion? None. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare it carried. Councillors, there being no other business on the agenda, I declare the meeting closed at 10:30 p.m. Thank you everyone for attending.